What's going on, guys? Cali Death Podcast coming in hot Sunday noon
I almost played it again, dude. That was fun.
Pacific Standard Time. What's going on, everybody? Yeah, we are here again. You know, if you didn't get enough of us last week or earlier this week, we're back again to give you more. And it's episode 2, not episode 75. Episode 2. I almost said 75, dude. But yeah, album reviews, dude. This is a different style podcast. We've already done one. Casey took it and ran with it, did a great job with it. It was fucking fun as shit. We wanted to do more. And so here we are today. Today, my resident homies are Casey and David Siskin. What up, David? How are you, brother? Back on for the third time.
What up, Anthony? Thanks for
yeah, dude. Dude, no problem, dude. I love this, dude. And actually, we'll get into the reason. There's more than one reason why you're on with us today. But yeah, we're here with the Ophidian guys, Daniel, Ragnar, and John. What's going on, guys?
What's up?
Yeah, dude.
Good to be back.
Multi-country style podcast. We got Ragnar. Daniel, are you in Iceland too? I can't hear you, Daniel.
And Reykjavik as well. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I got you.
Got you now. Okay. All
Cool.
right. Yeah. I'm in Reykjavik. Raki is in Mosfellsbær, like maybe a 20-minute drive from where I'm. So
yeah, sick.
Nice, dude. This
is sick.
7 o'clock at night for you guys. 8 o'clock. What's the time for you guys?
Yeah, 7. Yeah.
Oh, okay, so you guys, nice, comfortable time for both of us.
Thanks for having us on, man. It's freaking awesome. It's also just nice to be able to hang out with metalheads and talk about music. You know, it's been so isolated, especially here. I mean, it's been like that everywhere, I guess. But
yeah,
you never even go to shows or meet anyone who listens to metal anymore. Not really even my bandmates, because we all just like work a lot through the internet, I guess. So
I hear you,
just
dude.
Hang out. Yeah,
it's hard to have
so much.
It's hard to have a chunk of time to give to just straight listening to music now. You know, there's so many other things, like being a family man. I got, there's no way I could actually sit down and, while they're awake, sit down and pay attention to an album like we all used to, But this one, Desolate, Ophidian Eye, dude, this is one where I made sure once I heard it, like, I'm going to give this album its time. And I've done that several times now. And we're here to discuss it because it's something that is actually very special, dude. It's a really, really, really beastly piece of art, dude. And mad respect for creating it, mad respect for all the songwriting that's involved. I mean, everything's just really just maxed out, but in the best way, Like, I usually am not into the fast bands, the really, really fast stuff. But dude, this music at this speed, it's just the precision and the deep like richness to everything that's happening in the album. Like, this is I'm more than happy to make this a whole episode, And I want everybody who hasn't, I mean, you guys came on before, so hopefully, a lot of Cali Death guys did go and check out Desolate after the first episode, but please, if you have not listened to this yet, you're doing yourself a disservice. It really needs to be in your eardrums, and you need to realize what the fuck is going on in Iceland, dude.
That's right. Oh man, thanks so much for all that. And I totally understand what you're saying. And it's changed so much, like how I consume music, and I guess all of us in this like attention deficit phone era.
Mm-hmm.
Like the only time I listen to a whole album front to back is maybe at work, but then I'm doing something else and I'm not really focused on what I'm listening to. But we all remember, when we used to just like, there wasn't all this noise, grabbing your attention from, I guess, all this social media and stuff, and just being an adult, when you could just like sit in your bedroom and listen to a whole album. That hasn't happened to me for many, many years. And probably,
dude. And I love it. I love being able to do that. And back in the day, it was just so much easier. And I also feel like, like with me, I have to keep an ear open at work because I'm a mechanic. So there's noises, there's things that can happen. I got to keep my attention at work, at least partially on my job. So it's like mostly podcasts is what I can do while I'm working, because I just have one headphone in. You know, I don't like to listen to an album.
That's right. Yeah.
With just one side because
it's your one guitar. You're like,
yeah,
you have to put it on mono so you just hear everything.
Yeah, but
exactly.
you know, it's like it's cool to listen to albums that way too, because then you get the differences from what's panned to what side and all that kind of stuff. But when you're at work and you got to pay attention, like, so music is just kind of like a background thing for me. Podcasts are much easier to listen to, but yeah, getting away from everybody, getting desolate and isolating yourself in a room with music, it's the fucking shit, dude. I think I'm just speaking in circles right now, but
I have to drive a lot for work, so I get my listening in like under the wheel, but still I think also just like meditation is needed, because you know your mind is always racing. You're thinking about the next project at work or whatever, some shit at home. But you know, when we were like 16 or 17, it was so easy to just switch off everything and just play a video game or listen to an album, or you know. So I think it's also just like it has to be an exercise in mindfulness if you're gonna really get that experience again.
Totally. I have the same deal where I have a long commute for work, and that's basically the only time I have to consume. You know, I need to, it sucks because you get in the car and it's like, oh, I have new episodes of a podcast, or like, do I want to listen to this new album? And I have 45 minutes to divvy up among all this different stuff. And then as soon as you get home, it's like, you got your kids right there. You got your dogs fucking barking at the door and all this shit. So it's, carving out the time for it, although super important, is ever increasingly difficult to achieve.
Wow.
But we really appreciate and respect everyone who's given our album their attention. It's definitely far exceeded our expectations, and we're super, super happy about it.
Well, it just came out of fucking nowhere. Well, for me, I mean, it's like getting prepared for your guys' last episode that you were on was my first time listening to the band, and obviously we've talked about it many times. For something new, it's not gonna fully click necessarily when you listen to it, and especially when you're like trying to cram for a show. It's like, oh, this is so great, but I need to like really step back from it and fully get it, because I didn't get it. I mean, I got it, but I'm saying like it wasn't fully like marinated. I didn't marinate in it enough before the last show, but now I've had enough with it to where I'm like, dude, there's so many aspects of this album that just call out to me, dude. It's like there's the super melodic like power metal influences, but played through like this tech death filter at a super massive speed, and again with the precision, and there's just so much going on, dude. And yes, we got to get into this more.
Super dense for sure.
I'd like to add too, you know, like when you listen to an album a lot and you get like a picture in your head of how an album kind of sounds to you, you know, and you're like, okay, yeah, and I when I think of that album, I think of it, you know, like how the songs sound and everything. And I was thinking that way. Then I was re-listening to it, like especially yesterday, and like earlier. Then David and I were listening to it at his place last night, also on his stereo, which sounds even better than mine. But even sounds sick on my stereo too. And I was like listening and I was just like Storm Aglow comes on or something like that, and I'm just like, it's even gnarlier than I remembered, you know.
And we've only heard it hundreds of times now.
How do you do that? It's like you guys. It's like while I was away, you guys added more stuff.
While you were sleeping, dude, they came in and redid it.
It's one of those albums you can't really multitask while you're listening to it, because there's so much going on to like fully like endure it. You really have to focus. I mean, and then if the good thing about that is every time you listen to it, you're going to hear something else, which is awesome. And that's like one of the coolest things about death metal albums, especially technical death metal albums. Like it's always kind of new. And that's like how I kind of gauge the quality of technical death metal albums these days, to be honest. Like if I can keep listening to it and it's not getting old, that's crazy. And yeah, Ophidian Desolate, I feel like it's fresh every single time. So
that's what's up, dude.
Big respects, like seriously.
That's awesome. Yeah, really appreciate
it. Replay value is super important.
Yeah,
and just to add, you know, kind of from the last episode, but like, so I was kind of mentioning this in the pre-pod, but like, you know, we have our friend Josh and then David. I always talk about David because he played in Odious Immortum. I mean, we started back in 2000, so I've been playing with him over 20 years, you know, so we grew up together, and we were living in Santa Cruz when I was playing in Decrepit all those years and stuff. So they worked at a record shop, and so they were always finding like the bands that we didn't know about and bringing them to the apartment and being like, dude, check this out. And we're like, what's Anata? What, this is insane, or whatever band, you know? And so when Josh started hitting me up, he lives in Texas now. I just talked to him here and there, and he's like, you got to listen to this band, Ophidian. I like this album. And he kept sending it to me, and I could tell he was serious because he just kept asking me, did you listen to it yet? Did you listen to it? You know, I was like, no, I like made myself listen. I was just like, the first time I remember just being like, oh shit, like, okay, like I'm gonna have to get into this. Like, I was like almost too much at first. I was like, okay, I need to like listen to this when I have more time. Like, I was like busy, you know, and then I kept listening to it and loving it. Then David, you got super into it, and then because you're like, you know, hearing from Josh too, so you were like telling me the same thing, like, dude, it's the best album like I've heard in years, like all this, you know. So we still listen to it. like we were hanging out with John, you know, about a month ago at David's birthday, and we were still blasting it, and you showed us some of the little bit of the new kind of,
I played
secret
the demos.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
So we were just like, man, dude, just we're still like excited about it, like as if it just came out. Like, I don't know. So that's like, how do you maintain that kind of like, you know, excitement?
That's exactly what you want, dude. That's exactly what you want in an artist. If you want it to still bear fruit for the listener as many times as they want to play it, you know.
I think it's, for me, it's just so surreal, and I know Dennis talked about it when he was a guest in your podcast the other day, and it's the same for us, like how it all goes in circles, because you're describing to us how it was like discovering Ophidian, and you know, we went through the same exact shit with Odious Mortem back in the days. I remember I was in a band with Unnar, who used to be a guitar player in Ophidian before I joined, and we were always, you know, bouncing. Like I've heard you guys talk about before also, like what is the next most sickest shit that I can listen to, and you know, you get into Nile, and you get into, of course, Necrophagist, and then like, bro, you really like this fast drumming and shit, you gotta check out Odious Mortem. And we used to listen to Cryptid Implosion a lot, like really much, and then I haven't talked to Unnar really for a few years because he became a father, but the last time I talked to him is when Synesthesia came out, and we saw the announcement, and we both texted each other pretty much at the same time, like, bro, did you see? And yeah, and now you're saying, yeah, it just goes in circles. So it's really, really funny. But you know, it's such a small scene when you really think about it. So it's just we're all just a bunch of like-minded people, no matter where we come from, I guess.
Exactly, dude.
And it's like chasing a high. We're always trying to find that next sickest, you know, fastest, craziest, or whatever. That feeling of like pure power or whatever, you know, when that riff kicks in, that one riff that makes you just like, oh, there it is, you know.
Yeah.
So, funny,
it totally is, dude. And you know, with the music, with you guys, there's you could tell that there's the California death metal influence, even though there's so much Icelandic influence in there too. If you really sit in some of those riffs, you're like, oh, dude, this is definitely more rooted in Icelandic sounding stuff, but it's again played through this prism, this filter of technical death metal. I love to tell people, like, take the distortion off of the guitars and slow them down. Like, you're gonna hear something that is actually very pleasurable to the masses. You know, it's it could be like a classical sounding thing, but we turn it up to fucking 11, hit it with distortion, and we're like, what's up? This is death metal, you know?
Yeah, Simon. A few years ago, Simon came to visit me when my wife and I got married. And we have a guitar just in the house. I don't play, but like I keep it around for the one time a year that I decide that I want to try to learn how to play. And he grabs it off the wall and starts noodling on it. And he's playing like this beautiful melodic section. And he's like, guess what that was? And I'm like, I don't fucking know. I don't listen to, like, it's like beautiful. I can tell that, but I don't, like, that's not in my wheelhouse. And he's like, that's the new Ophidian song. And I was like, oh shit. And he just like slowed it down and was playing one of the, melodic sections
Yeah,
clean,
dude.
and it sounded fucking gorgeous. And I was like, whoa. And then some years later, I ended up joining the band, and I guess maybe that was the foreshadowing.
Totally.
Yeah. Well, it's like with music, like when beauty meets brutality kind of thing, but it's like, I think, we talk about Necrophagist or Spawn and stuff, and bands that, really brought that forth, like kind of in that time. That was like a really big, they get mentioned so much because they were super brutal and really tight and just fast and just to the max, but also just really melodic, beautiful solos and like in different ways. Obviously your solos are totally unique to how they sound, and that's what I love. And we talked about that on the last podcast too with Daniel, and just like you said that you actually went and rewrote a lot of these solos after, like you'd written some, like I'm trying to remember, but I think you'd said that.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, that was basically the case. Like, like much of the material and basically all of the solos were rewritten when I was like recording them. Mainly that was because just tastes had changed in the meantime, and also like a more conscious sort of approach to the album, because listening to what we had recorded and what it was, and getting like a vision for how it was gonna come out in the end, sort of made you think, how do I want this to be perceived? Like what is the like what do I want this to sound like? So as for like the solos, because that's of course just a very like expressive element within any music, I guess, but like probably especially within like the death metal sounds, because it's always a pretty integral factor. But it's still oftentimes like very similar. Like it's very often just the same harmonic minor scales and leads and same sweeps, etc. And like we do those as well, but like I really wanted to do like something different, because I felt the material was like moving in a slightly different direction from what I was like used to listening to in the tech death realm. But so I wanted to like try something else. And at the time I was listening to like a lot of like pop singers, like female pop singers. Like my dream would probably be to be a female pop singer, if not a guitar player in a death metal band. And like I was like really into this Norwegian singer called Sigrid. I'm not sure if you know it, but she's like a pop singer, like a really good one.
Who is
And Sigrid is her name. She's from
Sigrid?
Norway. Yeah.
I haven't heard.
And she released this song called Strangers, which was very popular, but it shares like a lot of similarities with Diamonds, like in terms of the chords and the melody. It's you would probably just hear it. It's more of like a flavor rather than like, yeah, that section is like this, that section or something like that. But yeah, so like a lot of the ideas as to how these singers approach their melodies, and also just rhythmically, because like rhythmically pop singers often do some weird stuff. I actually like scrapped all of the solos I had done for Diamonds and just took note of what she was doing, and like, yeah, maybe I'll just try like this rhythmical harmonized thing rather than like a super shreddy section. So that's basically what I did. So it's a fairly unusual approach, I would suppose, to this sort of music, but I was really happy with it. It was like it was a release in a way, because it made it so that like I could have all of these different influences which didn't really share any similarities to the music that I was doing, but all of a sudden it sort of like came together where like, yeah, I can use all of it.
Yeah.
So
it was also a strange experience for the rest of us in the band, because when we recorded the drums, which I think was in 2016, we had been practicing the songs extremely much. I don't remember. Maybe you remember better than me, Daniel, how many times we practiced a week, but it was a lot.
It was like minimal, like 3 times a week, like minimal.
Yeah. For hours every time, and so these song structures were completely glued into your brain. And then, like Daniel talked about in the last time he was on with you guys, is that he got sick and everything got delayed because of that. So when he finally went and finished the recording of the guitars, and we heard it. It was a different song than when we started, because there were so many new added layers on top, and maybe this one lead or this one harmony that I used to be following when I was drumming is now either replaced to something else or completely like buried in between these other newer elements. But however, we could all immediately hear like that. Yeah, Daniel had pretty much single-handedly just elevated the whole composition to yet another level, and we were still pretty proud of what we had created when we started recording it. But it turned out to be something, somewhat different, like in a pretty big way actually. So I had to like when I'm playing along with the stems, I sometimes practice with I have the stems of the songs without the drums, and at first it was I had to figure out where I was in the song for because this solo had completely changed, and I used to do the accents along with some special notes in the solo or something. So
interesting. Yeah,
it's super interesting to hear the influence from vocalists and such. And you can it kind of makes more sense now hearing that, because like the melodic and harmonic progressions, you can totally hear that some of those style progressions and more vocalists and less in metal, of course. So you really kind of nailed that and took a new element and brought it in and exploded our brains.
Yeah, dude. Continually exploding the brains. And it totally makes sense with all that you guys just said. Like there's some really, really catchy parts that I think catch me on a like a poppy level. It's really weird to say it's like on a pop level, but it's not at all at the same time. There's it's like hidden within. It's like buried deep
it's like
into it,
like a Trojan horse almost.
Yeah,
dude,
that's what I think of.
totally.
I think of like these gods battling in the sky, like like and it's all like when I don't know, like that like that sound when you say the Icelandic sound or whatever, where it's like you're thinking of music from Iceland, like in different melodies and that kind of stuff, and those, or we say that kind of sounds Swedish, or that sounds like this or like that. It's like it's usually something really melodic, and it's a really good meaning. When at least coming from California, when we say a music is like a from somewhere up like in the north, like in Iceland or Sweden, it's usually like we're complimenting it heavily because we're like super influenced by it. But to us, it's like that, like it's almost like kind of like a little like we talked about some of that like that Eurovision, like that, not that it sounds like the but how there's like in European rock or different styles of music, there's all kinds of different like in pop or rock, but like melodic progressions or just like melodies, just the way that you do melodies, and it sounds different than the way that like all the bands in the United States do it, or all the bands in Germany do it, or whatever. It's just it sounds to our ear, it's like a completely unique, like we're like, oh wow, and so it's so fresh. I think that's what's so cool about it. So the fact that you did that and made that change really, I think, adds a lot to the
to the overall sound.
Just the overall grasp of how it grabs you, the album. I'm trying to look for the word, but you know what I'm saying. So
and that was like our huge deal to effectively do that. Like it was a pretty like conscious effort to try and take this sort of music to that point where it's like we got nominated for the Icelandic Music Awards like last week.
I saw that.
That's like the first metal album that's like nominated.
Oh really?
So that's pretty cool.
But like sense, dude.
Yeah, and I've talked to so many people who are like, like that's actually really cool, because, and I'm pretty sure that's mainly due to like two factors. Like it's super fast, so like that's a pretty like undeniable thing. You listen to it and it's like, damn, that's fast. And the second thing is the melodies, because the melodies sort of seep into everyone. And so I've heard from like people I would never suspect to, like when we're just always listening to it in the gym, and like, really? Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah,
I think like a lot of those.
You go first.
I was just gonna say, like, back to the melodies. Like, I think one of the distinctions with those style of melodies is like, and kind of different from a lot of other folks, is like they keep like ascending. Like they don't like
Mm.
descend as much. They just keep going up. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I think that is
Yeah.
also kind of like how people some people like, I mean, at first I kind of identified that like your sound more in the vein of like power metal or like Arsis, but like a billion times more brutal or something. But I heard from your last episode with Cali Death that that wasn't really a huge influence. You're not like into power metal really necessarily.
No, not at all actually. But
Yeah.
like I'm pretty open to like most styles, basically anything. But I can't say that I listen to any power metal band, for example. So
I don't think anyone of us have ever done. Maybe Simon, when he was a teenager, used to listen to. Sorry, Simon. I know he's probably listening. And, but I think it's also pretty funny that you mentioned Eurovision before, and you were talking about the music continually elevating, because that's like a typical Eurovision element to, in the middle of the song they elevate to another.
Okay.
Another key.
Another key, and
yeah.
probably like very, very, very subconsciously, like Eurovision probably influences everyone in this country a little bit when they're creating something. Because, even if we used to be like, especially when I was a teenager, I was like a black metal kid and like only darkness and never laughing at jokes or anything, but still you would go to a Eurovision party. Those used to be the most fucking, when the event was on TV, we would all fucking meet up and like watch it intensely and all the glamour and all the show,
Yeah, and also like it's almost like a political event where like you're debating like the French song opposed to the British one or anything or something. Like it's so it's like a very
national pride.
Also like a pretty serious thing. It's obviously entertainment, but it's like if you're gonna be entertained by it, you have to put on your Eurovision shoes and do it like properly, and like you have to be able to debate it and like, no, that song doesn't have a strong enough hook, or the singer just isn't cutting it.
Also, visually, those performances are insane. They put like so much into the production, like all the artists and stuff. It's
it's crazy. Like even the like the pre-finals or whatever you would call them here in Iceland is like a huge event, and like it's 3 weekends. So it's
Did you guys watch the Will Ferrell movie yet? I know it's like
yeah.
Did you think it was funny, or did you like
It's not a good movie,
Yeah.
It's sort of like but like the Icelandic jokes I don't mind. Like I grew up in Akureyri, which is fairly close to Húsavík, and Húsavík sucks, so it doesn't bother me at all. But it's a beautiful town though. But it's like it's like a minor rivalry between Akureyri and Húsavík. So
Húsavík is actually pretty great. I can say it because I'm not from Akureyri, but yeah, it was just I thought the movie was pretty sweet, just because of the. Yeah, I like when they make fun of Icelanders, because we all think we're the greatest sometimes. We need to sometimes be.
Yeah, totally. It's super necessary.
I liked some of the songs, like the first one, Volcano Man. It was cracking me.
Yeah. But it's also so weird to like when I was watching it, and I started to like be aware that I was like had been so like brainwashed by the Eurovision, just the format of the competition, where like when they were like just going out on stage and performing another song and stuff like that, it's like it could never happen in Eurovision. Like they would just
Well, that movie got it really popular in the US, and now the US created some like biting Eurovision thing. They're like,
I've been watching it. I've been watching
it. I saw it. Yeah, I saw it. Like Snoop Dogg is the host.
What's it called?
Shut the fuck up.
Which
show? Like America's Top Song or something.
America's Top Song.
Do they even,
America song?
How many American top fucking things do we have, dude?
Apparently not enough.
America's Top Chef, America's Top this.
Well, it's
everyone has to be the best.
Gotta take it to the top, man.
Which is exactly what Ophidian and I did with this fucking album we're talking about today.
There you go.
Exactly.
Back around, Anthony.
Boom.
I think
are we gonna listen to some of it?
Oh yeah.
Keep sidetracking it because you guys are complimenting it very hard, and we're all just let's talk about something else.
Dude, we feel the same way. Like when you started talking about Cryptic, I just like shut down.
It's just fucking surreal. I can't believe we're all sitting here and talking about it like we're not just like, it just feels like the whole, especially when you get so niche, like technical death metal, you can't get it more like focused than that. It's just like a big group of friends, even if we haven't met before. As soon as you meet someone who is into that, you have common ground, like a huge common ground. For most of it,
dude.
it's like our whole lives, so you don't. Yeah, it's
We've said it before on the
Totally.
podcast where it's like it knocks out like 2 or 3 steps of social interaction for us, like right off the bat. Like all the BS in the beginning is just sliced right off. We just start at a new spot, which is the common ground of extreme metal, playing it, understanding what it is to be in a band that plays it, knowing that we all have a common love for it. It's like it's no matter where we are on the planet, dude, we're hooked up like bros, you know?
Yeah, I think so, man. And also, like, if the roles were reversed, because we all just were trying to push the boundaries of what we knew was possible at the time, and you think we maybe pushed it very far, compared to some 90s stuff or whatever. But if you were our age, you would probably be at the same, doing the same, going in the same direction. And now maybe Archspire and us have proved something, and who knows what the current 15-year-old thinks is
That's
gonna.
what I was gonna say, dude.
Yeah.
That current 15-year-old is fucking gonna be scary, dude. Like right now, like the one who finally says, I'm jumping into the game and moving it forward, like, Ophidian and all these other bands were mentioning, like, what is it? It's scary. It actually makes me nervous. Like, what is?
I mean, I wouldn't count yourselves out of that race. I've heard the new Odious stuff, and it's pretty fucking sick. So
nice, dude. Yeah, we definitely we wanted to go back to like that speed and aggression of like Cryptic, with a lot of the stuff. I definitely think that we're on par at least with the Cryptic speed. What actually, Casey? What are the?
No, it's not that fast. But yeah,
it's not.
But it's fast. It's faster than Synesthesia, but it's not as fast as some parts. But Cryptic's fast.
Cryptic is fast on accident. Cryptic
yeah,
is fast on
was
accident.
recorded way even faster than we were playing those songs.
I know exactly.
And we were playing those songs fast.
Yeah,
I was. Okay. I don't know if I was like nervous or excited, but I just went in the studio and just was like, like I don't know what happened, dude. I think I was like,
yeah. Sorry. I just think it's interesting to see how like certain things get like kind of unlocked generation by generation. Because I remember, at least from our perspective here in Iceland, we have a pretty limited view of the whole scene because we can't really go to many shows or talk to people. So it was always just like, for example, in the drum department, it was John Longstreth had this double stroke thing down. And we all thought like that is humanly impossible. He's just a freak. And then that guy from Flesh God Apocalypse did it too. And then everybody was like, "What? You're telling me it is possible?" And then boom, everyone did it. And just in the last 8 years or something. So
I must.
And now like the Archspire guy is like rapping like Eminem while also growling. So what the fuck?
You do the fast, doubles, and you do it really tastefully because you don't like just flood it the whole time. There's so much variation in your drums, and it's really quality, man.
When that double bass hits on a lot of parts on that album, dude, it's just it throws me back, dude. Just like, and you're just like, what?
Yeah.
It's like I'm taking off into space, dude. All the G forces.
Yeah.
I learned that technique after we recorded the album because I told you guys that we had practiced so fucking much before we recorded the drums.
Yeah.
So I was in the shape of my life, and I had been playing with my other band. It was called Beneath. I know you guys interviewed Gabe Sieber. He replaced me as the session guy after I left. But yeah, we were also like super focused on speed. And so when we got into the studio, like with intense warm-ups and everything, we made this pretty unreliable single stroke technique work for recordings. But then after everything got a little bit on hold with when we were waiting for the guitars and stuff, and I could just feel my stamina and endurance and everything go down, and I just thought like I'm never going to be able to pull this shit off again unless I find a new technique or something more reliable, and there's not going to be able to be any like studio fixing when we do this shit live, or if I want to do a stream or so I must find another way. And that's when decided to learn the double strokes.
Wow.
How
So
did
single
you
strokes. That was how you recorded with single strokes?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
If you go, there are some YouTube videos of Beneath, for example. We did a short tour with some American bands, Dehumanized and Malignancy in 2014.
Hell yeah.
malignancy?
And
Yeah.
then I'm doing single strokes there, and yeah, but it was like not as reliable. There are some shows, like some videos you can hear I'm pretty much nailing it at 270 or something, but others, if I'm too tired or
Sure,
drank 3 beers instead of 1 before the show, it gets a little sloppy. But now, yeah, it's like it's almost hilarious, because I used to have to warm up so much, and now I can just sit down and it's 240 or 50 ppm very easily, and just like 10 minutes warm up, and you gotta, yeah, you're up to the insane speeds. So
right.
and that's a little bit like, it's not very good because it's so fun to do that sometimes I just don't warm up my hands that much because I'm just having so much fun with the doubles. And then I don't have to push as hard as I used to, but yeah, my hands are suffering a little bit because of that.
I look at real quick. I was just gonna say, I look at that like hitting the speed bag. Like it's more technique than I mean, it is definitely, you know, power and punching and all that stuff, but it's really timing and technique that really gets those dudes to do the crazy tricks and combos and shit on that. And it's kind of the same thing with doubles. You gotta be able to time your feet properly to give it the most force at, you know, I mean, this is a dummy trying to explain this because I'm not even a fucking drummer, but I just like, I think of it like that. Like I could see how it's fun because hitting a speed bag when you know that your technique's right and the speed bag is actually doing what you want it to do, it's fun.
Yeah, it is really fun. It was frustrating as fuck in the beginning because I was looking at slow motion, or like, yeah, looking at explanations how to do it, and I'm trying to get it working on my feet, and my left foot, like always, would never do it. It helped like tremendously when Daniel brought his like iPhone to practice one day and took a high definition video of my feet and then played it in slow mo, so I could just see like, yeah, my left foot isn't actually doing the motion. I'm just like imagining that it's doing it. So it helped me to go back and rework it on the practice pads, I guess. And then it's kind of like, because I'm not very good at just sitting and practicing with a metronome, although we always practice with a metronome when we're playing. But I just like play along with songs and try to get it down, and then just like one day it's boom, you can hear it, it's there, you know. And it's just happened overnight while you slept or something. That's a fucking awesome feeling.
How long did it take to like learn that technique and kind of change your whole technical approach to drumming?
I think it took me 18 months to get the doubles where it was very reliable. But I was, yeah, in my high 20s, and I think a fucking 16-year-old could do it in 2 months. Like that obsessed kid who has all the time in the world. I really think they could. Because I was doing it like, yeah, I travel a lot for work. I sometimes don't play the drums for a couple of weeks. So I really think you could do it really quickly if you had that obsession and that time.
Was there any like particular YouTube or teachers, like, I don't know, that helped you get there? Like, I don't know. I know like Riccardo Merlini is a madman, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, there was this one guy. His name is something Fitzgerald, but he's not in any band that I know of or something. So it wasn't one of those. It wasn't John Longstreth himself or something like that. I think maybe because I've already been playing very fast, maybe that helped a little bit, because it's not just practicing your muscles, but also your brain to be able to feel when you're hitting, when you're actually alternating and not just like doing simultaneous hits. But apart from that, yeah, it was just like YouTube videos, like you said. And yeah, and also because I said before, we're pretty isolated here in Iceland, and I always thought we suffered a little bit because, for example, I've chatted with Gabe Sieber and asked him, like, how did you learn double strokes? I really want to learn it. And he's just like, I just went to a show with some guy who can do it. And then he taught me backstage. Like, fuck, I can do that. You know, so you're
There's literally nobody else here.
No, no. And before fucking, you know, tutorials on YouTube, you know, I'm talking maybe 10 years ago, when you're just trying to learn how to blast faster or something, you were just looking for that snippet of a grainy YouTube video where it actually showed the person's hands or something. There's nobody like making a nicely produced video saying like, hello, welcome to my YouTube channel, I'm going to teach you how to be really fast. That just started happening very recently. So it's always been like this. You're digging for a piece of gold somewhere on the fucking dark depths of the internet. And especially when I was like 15 or 16, they were just forums. There wasn't even really a YouTube or anything. So now I think they have it pretty sweet. They can just go to Drum Technique Academy, and every single one of the legendary drummers is on there with like a 4-hour in-depth explanation. And yeah,
that's crazy. It's like somebody comes up with the technique, and then once it's perfected by one human, that human just spreads it, and then it just those humans spread it, and it's like that's why it's harder to get to the point that you want to be versus it already being there, and it's possible. Like you don't know that feeling of is it possible? That is not what those kids have when they already see that it is possible. Does that make sense?
They got a leg up.
Yeah, I also always thought that everyone was going to be playing extremely fast as soon as they knew that it was possible. But I guess like you're not that threatened because it also takes a lot of dedication, and you got to be a little bit of a nerd. You're not doing anything else. Going to I don't know, social events or whatever. You're spending a lot of your free time.
Well, it's actually what keeps us out of kept us out of trouble.
For sure.
You're too busy studying. Why did I say us? I didn't study shit. What am I studying?
I know you and me, Anthony, we're being vocalists. We're just listening to these tireless fucking struggles that our bandmates go through to perfect their craft. And we're just a couple of assholes standing around and like, all right,
making really weird noises over it.
It's not. You guys studied throat singing,
Oh yeah,
actually I did.
That's actually
I spent a couple of years of YouTube videos.
That's not fair to you.
Do it right now.
Take a random dude and ask him to do like a sick growl. That also takes a fucking lot of work up, because I don't know about you, Daniel, but I like to, or I used to like to at least like scream along to Nile or something on the way to work. And I had my headphones on and I was like, yeah, I sound just like Dallas. And then I take them off and it's just like,
yeah.
So I think, there's definitely, when you hear a fucking sick vocalist, you can definitely tell.
Yeah.
This person has really practiced, or this person has listened to themselves again and again and tried to pitch it and change it until it sounds like a fucking monster screaming through a barrel or something.
Yeah. I mean, there is some craft that goes into it, but I just think as a sheer calculation of hours spent, I definitely didn't spend 18 months like doing anything consistently in my entire life. So knowing that like that's the investment that you made just into learning double strokes is I can't undersell how impressive that is to me, and like certainly anyone else who's like has an interest in the genre. Like it's fucking. And I was gonna say I love that you I didn't know about the anecdote about with the like the slow-mo recap camera that you use to like kind of analyze your form. And I think it's funny because Ragnar often compares death metal to an extreme sport, and likes to say that we're on the Icelandic national team for death metal. And I'm like just bringing in like that kind of like sportsman like review tape footage, and like damn, that's
I keep a camera. I keep a camera in my throat actually to watch the chords.
Exactly.
Sure vibrating at the right frequencies and.
Well,
for some reason, like the 107th chord, for some reason, just doesn't wiggle the way I want it to, dude.
So bring up sports for a second and all that. I mean, like growing up, like the world's strongest man was like an important thing, like watching those shows and stuff. And when I first, got really into you guys, before I'd met any of you online or in person, I was like, like sending it to the group chat, and I was like, dude, this band from Iceland, they're better than everybody. Like, and I would like post like pictures of like the world's strongest man, like an Icelandic dude, like carrying like a giant thing. Like, dude, it's like the musical version of that picture.
John looks like he's the fucking guy in the picture right now, dude. He's with that big old beard and those shoulder definition,
lift, John.
Dude, it's a facade. Can't lift shit.
Damn, there was this guy in the 90s. He passed away way too young, but he was like the OG Icelandic strongman world champion. His name was Jón Páll Sigmarsson.
Mm.
He's literally a huge inspiration for me. Like, not that I'm a power lifter.
Dude. Oh yeah.
Just his outlook, his positivity. His like, you're almost ashamed to say it today, but it's like he was very proud to be Icelandic. You can't say that really anymore, but he was just like, Iceland is the best, and that's why I'm here to like fucking kick some
Show
ass.
everybody
You know?
what's up. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you, I think
Well,
more people than just me are inspired by him. He was fucking great.
so
Yeah, totally. And he took like the mundane Icelandic things and made them like into something cool and strong, you know, like Icelandic milk, Icelandic fish oil, like stuff like
Oh,
that.
yeah.
That all
What's
became
Icelandic-
like super cool. Yeah,
Icelandic
like I have to
milk.
take fish oil. It's super important.
yeah.
Yeah.
But the
And
fish was caught off the shores of Iceland.
Mhm.
And we were taught this in school as well. Like, yeah, Iceland has the strongest man, the most beautiful women. So when you're trying to be fast or something, you're not going to think like, yeah, I'm okay with being the third fastest. That's fine.
Yeah, no, I agree, dude. I agree. That and you definitely show it. But are we gonna listen to some of this shit?
I was
dude?
just gonna
mean,
ask. So, can I put on this video? I think it'd be kind of cool. I like this the Storm Aglow video.
let's do
Yeah,
it, dude.
go
That was a fun one. Yeah.
Let's see if I
Mhm.
can find how to do this here. Okay. So I think it's so sick just because of the song and also the video itself and how it shows like, you know, all the sick scenery of like, I'm assuming it's Iceland, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just drone shots that our videographer
Can you
took
guys
on
see
the same
that?
time.
Is it working?
Yep. Yeah.
Mhm.
I see what's going on.
It's a little choppy.
Yeah.
Oh, is it chopped up? Oh, it's not putting sound. Huh,
Yeah.
I don't know why it's not working. It wouldn't let me share the sound, so I'll try it again, I guess. I guess if it's going to be that choppy, it probably wasn't going to be good. Bugger. Well, check out everybody. Go check out that video. Here, I'll put the link in the chat.
Drop a link in the chat.
That's
Dude,
like, I mean, I love all the videos, but that one, dude, that song.
How
Like-
was Joel? How was Joel Guernsey
So
sharing
good.
the audio on the last episode? His audio sounded
I
sick.
know he's got a different system. We gotta upgrade our thing again. Something better. We're getting slowly.
We're getting there.
working our way.
So when you said it, there was a long period of time when you started playing the songs for Desolate, and Ragnar, you said you were like in the best shape of your life, and you like were really on it, and then they changed. But like, how long was it when you started playing it to when the album was recorded?
From when we like initially started practicing the skeletons of the songs, and then until we went into the studio, or what are you?
Sure, like well, yeah, I guess that, and also like how long was it before like the songs were like together for the most part, like multiple songs, and then you guys started playing it and stuff?
Well, I joined in 2014, and that's and I think we recorded the drums in 2016. So that's 2 years of like, but I think then Daniel can answer this. I think they've been working on some of the songs since 2010 probably.
Wow.
No, I don't know. I don't think so.
Not so early.
No, when you joined, we had, I think, maybe one or two of the songs put together for the most part. But then, like the rest of the songs, sort of happened like all in the span of a year or so. I would say, like
Okay.
the skeletons of the song and like the. It was all sort of happening simultaneously. You know, even though we were rehearsing like a lot, like 3+ times a week, we were also spending time on writing. Like meanwhile, so you know, it was all sort of, it was a really busy time for Ophidian and I, and like none of us had anything else going on back then as well. So it was sort of it was pretty easy to like focus on this project, but then, of course, like because you know we were sort of simming through the skeletons and making everything like the first layer, I guess you could say, just like the rhythm guitars and the structure of the song was the main focus for the songs as we recorded them in 2016, like the drums.
Okay.
But then we of course like added other layers, rewrote the solos, etc., and sort of made like another side of that coin like happen.
So was it all recorded at the same studio? What's it, Sunlawn, or what is it? How do you say it?
No, like the drums were recorded there.
Okay.
And the guitars were recorded at like half of them were recorded at Ragnar's house, and because Raki has, like the drum kit and everything set up just at his place, so we rehearsed there, just in his living room, and we recorded like half of the guitars there, and the other half just at my house.
Okay, cool.
I'm pretty sure Jupiter was already a song when I joined, at least, because I think you guys recorded a demo of it with the previous drummer.
Yeah,
Stefan.
that was, you could say that like the half of the idea of that song, for example, like the rest
and
of
how
it was
BPMs as well. Well, I think we upped it like threefold.
It's a totally different song.
Yeah. We just met him. We at this Icelandic Music Awards that we were at this week. We just met the previous drummer and also the guy who made that Storm Aglow video that you were talking about. And he lives in a different part, or he just actually moved to Reykjavik. But he lived in Ísafjörður, where actually Simon comes from as well. And he I think he shot some of those drone shots on his way to Reykjavik, where he was going to meet us to do the actual video. It's a really, really beautiful area that he comes from. Yeah, so it was nice to meet those guys again. And I was telling him at those music awards that he should have been nominated for the best video. But
yeah,
I think that it was enough for the Academy to just give us one slot, because then you got these pop singers who get like 9 awards or something.
Yeah, for sure.
Did you dress up all nice and stuff? Like, did you guys put on a tie and iron your
iron the shirts? Yeah, you have to do the whole thing. Totally.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, we were still wearing like not leather jackets and stuff, but like I don't know. None of us were just wearing like a Cannibal Corpse T-shirt with a.
Yeah.
No, I like dressing up, so that's why I'm asking. I'm
totally. Yeah, and it's a raging party as well. Like once it's done, it's like all bets are off. It's because like the people whom are in the genres that are often like the most uptight are the ones that party the hardest.
Yeah,
at least that's my experience, and this was no exception. It was pretty crazy.
That's awesome.
Hell yeah.
So what's like the connection with the studio that you recorded in to Sigor Rose?
Yeah.
Isn't there some connection there?
Yeah, like the Synthline is like a commercially available studio. It is. So like you can record there. I know that like quite a bit of renowned musicians have come here to record. I remember when we were recording the drums, like a couple of weeks before, Devin Townsend was there recording.
Wow.
I think he was recording though just like demos, or just because it's a very nice environment, so it's very popular to just like rent it out, go there and just work on music, like not necessarily anything specific or anything to show for it, just like
jam out.
Exactly, yeah, something like that.
But they were
it was essentially just the Biggie, the producer of Siguros, at least for a period of time, whom ran the studio for a while. I know that now Kjartan from Siguros is running it.
Oh, cool.
But Biggie has some ties to Raki, so that was sort of how we came into touch with those guys.
But the studio was essentially started by Siguros, or at least the Siguros crew, right? And the name Sundlaugin, it literally just means swimming pool, because it's an old indoor swimming pool. So the recording chamber is just at the bottom of the empty pool. You get a really nice natural reverb in there, and then the control room is probably where the men's room used to be or something. And they just got a big window so you're looking down into the pool. It's really, really cool.
That's true.
Yeah, they have like a picture of it on the website of Synthline. At least they always had like a really old photo of like people just dressed in speedos, just like going for a swim.
It's literally it's like 5 minutes walk from my house where I'm right now, and I live in like a smaller municipality on the outskirts of Reykjavik. So this pool used to be like where everyone here in this small town used to just learn how to swim, because so it's like there are old photos of like black and white photos of people just like taking group lessons in swimming in there, and then you record blast beats like 50 years later. It's fucking weird.
I've also
awesome.
heard, yeah, it's super cool. I've heard a lot of stories as well about when they were like restructuring the building into the studio, that it was like this like romantic idea to buy like a swimming pool in the outskirts, and it's like a beautiful location and stuff. But then it was like an absolute nightmare to like transform it into a studio, as you would imagine. You know, like
Yeah.
there's almost no similarities to how you would like structurally build a swimming pool and like a studio. Like you have to like basically, you know, rework the electrics and almost everything about it. But it's great. It's great. It's a really beautiful studio and a really nice spot. Sounds awesome as well.
Yeah, the
Super
recording's great. Sounds
Yeah,
so
and like the drums on the album are all like natural drums. Like there are no samples or anything. It's all just the drums in that room.
Oh wow.
It's
So no,
insane.
all no.
That was,
Apart from the kick drum,
Okay.
everything else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was a surprise to me too, because when I first heard the first rough mix, I was like, oh, okay, nice. So he just like completely threw away the drums and put some fucking powerful samples. But no, apparently not. He just, you know, of course, he put some compression on it and stuff, but it turned out to be super fucking powerful in there. So,
Yeah.
Kudos to Chris Donaldson and Stephen Lockhart, who was the recording engineer.
Okay. Yeah, they killed it, man. It sounds so good.
Yeah.
Was that like the first death metal album recorded there, or like, because I wouldn't imagine there's tons of death metal recorded there, but they seem to know what they were doing on the engineering side and mixing it.
Raki has done it a few times before.
Yeah.
There I recorded with Beneath there in 2011 or 12, and there's a short like behind the scenes video on YouTube as well from that. So if you want to see like how it actually looks like and sounds like, and you can send you the link to that. Yeah, but it's not the first fast blast beats that have ever been recorded there.
Okay.
I think those may have been the first though, like back when you recorded Beneath. I'm
pretty sure. Yeah. And I think the Vicky, who's the like in-house engineer, my father used to work in national radio. He was like a technician, and I guess something from somehow through that they got connected, and that's how this all came about. Like how we got the idea to go to a very mellow, like not metal music studio to record this, because I don't think anyone else just simply had the idea to do it, because most of the music that had been coming from the studio before was totally different from what we are trying to do. But now after, I think a few more metal bands have actually recorded in there now.
Awesome.
I smoke a mad amount of cannabis, so I have a memory issue, and I just want to remember, or I want to ask again. If I already asked this on the last episode, I'm sorry. What is the origin of the name Ophidian Eye? For real, I want to know, like, Ophidian Eye. Is it?
Yeah, it's nothing. It's nothing exciting. It was. It came to be before all of us joined, so we weren't there for it. But it was apparently like when the band were first starting out, they were like just throwing around some ideas for a song title, and apparently there was sort of like a miscommunication between Thordur, the bass player, and Simon. And Simon was under the impression that he just proposed like a name for the band, Ophidian Eye. And so he just like, yeah, okay, that's cool. It's a great name for the band. And he just never corrected it. But it was, I know that like the idea at the time was something like a song about becoming like a serpent-like figure or something like that. And like the cover of the old album that they did back then is like something along those lines as well. But it was nothing like properly in depth, and I think the main reason it stuck is just because it looks cool, at least in my opinion, and it like rolls off the tongue nicely.
It does.
So it's like
so is it a made up word?
No,
Ophidian.
Ophidian means snake.
Oh no,
like snake leg.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Funny
Oh.
that you just mentioned like
Cool.
incredible amounts of cannabis, because I was a little bit nervous before this show, because I knew we were gonna like try to talk about how we made the album and stuff. And the truth be told, I also don't remember more than maybe 10% of the whole process.
Yeah.
For example, when we were in that Sundlaun studio, I was.
That is funny how like, oh, we can work like a tour. Everybody's like, where'd you guys play? And I'm like, I don't remember. There's only like 3 dates that I do that I could call out. The rest of it's just a blur, you know. It was fun doing it, and it's fun to like think about like doing the tour, but in reality, like the actual information didn't fully I got to look at you know, the tour pass to figure out what days I did and what shows I did.
Yeah, I relate to that, man. And then other people tell you stories about yourself. You're like, bro, you remember when you said that thing to that lady? You're like, no, I don't. Well, it was fucking funny, you know.
It's I'm definitely have been in that position many a times, and I'm like, oh, sick, dude. Well, I'm glad you had a good time, dude.
On this note, how is the cannabis in Iceland?
I don't know. I haven't smoked for 5 years.
Okay.
I kind of just like finished my lifetime batch. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I think like, yeah, it's pretty good quality, but however, it's so insanely expensive that you should rather get into just like gambling or something.
So what are like the price? What are the prices?
I think like currently it must be 3,000 kroner per gram, which must be what, like 25.
Isn't it more?
Yeah.
No, they cut the price a few years ago. It used to be 3,500.
Okay.
And
So
I
what's
know,
that-
no,
what's
like some
that in-
Icelanders,
What's
they're
that in
trying
dollars?
It's like
to
$25.
Yeah, it's high, but it's not like super outrageous, I guess.
Is it mostly grown there, or is it brought in? Do you know?
It's like
I think it's
23
all
bucks for 1 gram. Yeah, that's pretty much though. Yeah, it's grown here.
Well, we called them twomps because it was $20 a gram back in the day. Twomps.
Really?
Dude.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
I remember.
I know
when
in Europe you don't have to pay so much for that.
Well, dude, are we gonna Casey? What's up, dude? Are we gonna jam some of this? I want to rock out.
I tried dude. I'm sorry. The album it's sketchy on the YouTube. So I don't.
So you
I'd
can't
have to
just like
upload
play a
songs or
song
something.
though,
I mean, I can try on YouTube, but that's the only way to.
without the music video, just playing a song or something. I don't. That's what you were doing with the Spawn one. I thought that's
Little bit. We listened to very little on the Spawn one, but yeah,
because
we
it
can
just
try.
ended up being like we just
you
guys
mean,
just chatted about it. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's okay. I mean, I can try to find it again. It was kind of glitchy. You said
Either
so.
way, and we put these out too. This is going to be on like iTunes and stuff like that, right? The album.
Yeah.
review
Oh yeah,
ones?
yeah. Oh, totally. It's
okay.
a full episode. Yeah, yeah.
I was going to say then. I just want to talk to everybody. Go and get your Ophidian eye fix right now if you have not, dude. There's so many aspects of this album that if you're down with Cali Death, there's plenty of Cali Death, like, you know, adjacent. There's some parts that I always do this. Like, I don't want to offend anybody, but I always am like, okay, here's the bands that I hear when I listen to albums. I have to just like attribute a riff to a band to make it make sense. And there's like Decrepit Birth sounding shit. There's Dragon Force. Like Dragon Force comes up a lot when I listen to Ophidian. It puts me in that same like power metal, like we're fucking going into battle. We're on a journey right now. Like I got my sword out and I'm fucking ready to chop some people up, dude.
I think because I'm streaming my video through OBS, maybe I can play this.
Yeah,
songs.
yeah. There you go.
Let me
Try it on your
know
end.
if-
It'll probably come out
Let
better.
me hear if you hear this. Let me see.
Yeah.
Let me see.
Raki is going to be doing some streams as well, like in the future.
Yeah, we need to get the
plug that.
OBS.
Yeah, dude. Twitch is everybody's starting to say, "Hey, dude, we're getting the Twitch channel." I'm like, "Fuck
we're
yeah,
getting-
dude, let's flood this shit."
Come on, guys, we're getting better. We're not there yet.
We're 1% better every day,
We're getting
man.
better. Yeah.
That saying's kind of a weird one because it's like just be 1% better. It's like, well, what do I do after 100 days?
Yeah.
If I got to be 1% better every day, what am I going to do after 100 days?
Well, then you're done. You peaked.
And you're 101% better.
Give up. Go back
Goes
down
to
to
11.
zero.
Hang up the hat and try again.
Yeah, I start over.
You got to start over, yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
So far, Joel from Ominous Ruin, his setup was like the best sounding setup. Like he had like the whole thing perfectly, all the audio, his guitar, everything. I kept trying to get him to play guitar. I'm like, he like it was all perfect sounding, but he was doing other stuff. But I was like, dude,
But
we
he
gotta
had
get that
extra
set up.
equipment. He had extra
Yeah,
equipment.
like
I also
we did
saw
it-
that. I also saw the episode you did with Alluvial. That was like a super sick setup those guys had as well. I like
Yeah,
the vocalist,
Kev's
I
got
don't
the
remember his name.
and you could tell that those
Totally.
guys are he's
Oh,
super
right.
into
Kev
doing
Mueller.
Twitch.
Yeah,
and he's got
Kevin
yeah.
Moore is
That
was
like a heavy
great.
streamer.
you could tell like he was
shout out to Kev.
already pro at it and shit with his voice.
Yeah.
I
like
whatever board he has, dude. It's something simple. I've heard other people use it on podcasts. I'd love to incorporate some of that. If I could get one of those and start doing weird shit to you guys, because you guys always fuck with me.
yeah, like voice alterations and stuff.
Don't
like
give
that.
Anthony that power. That's a bad idea.
Keep the power away from.
Joel's good at not overusing stuff. I overuse stuff sometimes, and then he has to calm me down. Joel's like, stop it. But like Joel's
I have to be honest. I like the guys were showing me the other day when we were getting the rig for Raki set up, which is like a process for a drummer, you know, big kit, a lot of mics stuff.
Yeah.
And they were like showing me, because I don't use streams or watch them or anything, and they were like showing me, yeah, then people are doing this and like everybody's using this filter and stuff, and I was like, I had like a culture shock. I was like almost like there's no hope for humanity.
Yeah.
Awful. but I like people do what they want, but it was just like, damn, that's insane.
Well, it's like, you know, it's like when my dad can't figure out the iPad, you know, it's like that's to them, like the new generations are like, we're like, what's OBS? And they're just like, they roll their eyes, like, you know. But hey, man, I gotta learn. I'm open. I'm just like, if I don't know something, I want to learn it. And
yeah, totally, for sure.
Whatever,
it just felt so. So how do I put it? It just felt so abstract to me to be like somebody in there is just like playing a guitar, and somebody is like throwing him money, and it's. And like subscribers as well, and it's all happening in real time, and everybody has like an inside joke, like thousands of people, and everybody's in on it. It just feels like porn.
I know, dude. We are.
I know. It's so funny.
We're all just cam girls out here.
Eventually, and then it's gonna get even further to where we're just totally gonna be the old guys. Like, dude, just give me an iPhone. That's all I need. Just give me the iPhone. All the kids are like, no, you can have it wired into your brain right now.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I just need the phone. Like, I can still beep boop on the screen of this, but it's like, no, you can use your brain. It's all wired in the Neuralink. Fucking Elon Musk is in there telling you what to do every day. And no,
Good morning.
Personally, I think we should be further ahead with technology. I mean, I thought we were going to have flying cars and hoverboards by now. This is bullshit.
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
like
80s definitely
Twitch
made us
compared to that is very like, it's not far.
And like monitors, like computer, like it should all be like, you know, projection, like hologram, like perfect, you know, like should be able to just touch it, like touchscreen holograms and stuff. I don't know.
I think that we'll see simulation. We'll see simulation before we die. We'll like actually going into a sim. I think that before
Are we already in one?
See, John knows what's up, dude.
Yeah.
Just in reality, to think how bad of an idea though flying cars would be. Like,
I know, right?
Yeah,
you know, like you run out of oil or gas, just start falling. Like, you know,
for as shitty as people drive in 2 dimensions, like imagining that in 3 dimensions.
God, dude,
no way.
People flying into your house and stuff, and like,
They got a flying car already though. It's called. I just saw an advertisement. It's
I
called,
know.
I did too. Yeah.
Really?
Did you see it? Yeah, it's basically it went from a guy who puts together like 40 drones and put like a lawn
Yeah, it's like
chair
a drone.
in the middle.
That's tight.
And now
Dude.
if we developed it until like it's like a tube structure with an actual seat and a joystick control.
Yeah.
He's just
Fucking
chilling
sick.
with like a drink, like sipping out of a straw, flying around on his
Yeah,
lawn chair.
But it's like they
starting-
call it a flying car, but once the wings deploy, it's like this is a plane, guys. It's not a flying car now; it's a plane. It's the same dynamic.
Well, I guess if it can like
tomato.
drive on the land and then fly and drive on the land too, then it's kind of like a flying car, right? Kind of. But
yeah,
imagine if you had to like deal, like you're a mechanic and you had to deal with flying cars now, and you're like, oh, dude,
Yeah.
you're like,
my idea of flying cars is Back to the Future, dude. You could just plant
the
it.
wheels go sideways.
Yeah,
and
and then you
go-
fly, and then they come back down, and you get a
Right.
parking spot. Still, you still gotta you still gotta pay for parking with the thing. It's like we're in the future now. You could fly everywhere, but you still gotta pay parking.
That's what I'm
talking
saying.
about future stuff, they're introducing these VR concerts. Have you heard about that? Someone was asking on Facebook, like, would you guys want to play in a VR venue? So everybody just tunes in their own living room with those goggles and just like, yeah, you can look around and see the avatars of other people and shit.
Yeah.
Trip. Yeah.
That's way more common now too, especially after the pandemic. Like everybody, that all got like, it got got quicker. The development of that type of stuff. Well, dude, there's you could be whatever you want. You could go into a VR space and be a banana.
This shit's boring though, dude.
Yeah, I think I totally feel the boomers like within coming out, because I'm just like, fuck that shit. I would never want to go to a VR show. Either I'm going to a show or I'm just doing something else.
Part of being at a show is being there with other people and like get thrown around, throwing people around, just rocking out together. It's like
smelling all the stink of people,
feeling the vibrations.
It's part of it.
Yeah, and like the impact of bands as well, just like sonically, because there are like loads of bands whom are like revered ones and like have been touring for a million years, but you never really translate their energy onto like records. But like live, it's just like a whole different deal.
Energy's the word of the day for that, dude. It's getting the energy of all the humans in the room together. Catching the energy of the artist, and it's just one weird symbiotic situation that nobody can really fully understand and explain it.
What if they had
just
VR?
The aura of the personality, because you have these huge personalities like that. I don't know, the guy from Desolate or something. You can hear his music all day, and then you step inside a room with the person. I don't know, like probably. Like I said, I haven't went to many shows because I live in Iceland, but sometimes you meet someone and they just have this fucking presence, You're not going to be able to feel that through a VR. No way.
Sure.
Just,
like seeing Frank Mullen on stage, like that dude is grabbing your attention whether you like it or not.
Yeah,
you can actually like resist it, but no, eventually Frank Mullen will totally grab your attention, and then you're just locked in, One human to a whole room.
Yeah.
So
I remember like maybe like 15 years ago, Cannibal Corpse came to Iceland and did like a couple shows. And at the time there were like rarely ever concerts with like bands in the metal scene like here in Iceland. And I remember that they at the time I was already like sort of grown a little bit past it, like Cannibal Corpse was cool and all, and I was going to the show, but I was like, I'm going, but I'm just as excited to see some of the Icelandic bands which were playing, but and it was like a long bill. It was like 7 bands or something, and the Icelandic bands were all cool, but then Cannibal came on, and it was just a huge impact. Just like the first few chords, it was just like, wow. This is like just a whole different deal than like the bands that are just doing this over here. So I had like mad respect for those guys.
Literally like 2-3 weeks ago, I had that same thing, dude. And I've seen Cannibal multiple times, dude. But Cannibal definitely like reminded me what Cannibal Corpse is, you know, like as soon as it started, you're like, oh yes, this is the death metal band, you know, death metal band, like everything that encompasses, you know, in a nutshell, what death metal is. This is the perfect representation of it, and with Eric Rutan on guitar.
That's pretty rad.
Yeah, I can just imagine that.
Oh, it was just such a it was a spiritual experience for me. And I and again, I could say, Daniel, I'm not like the hugest Cannibal fan. I it may have been like, you know, there in the beginning of me getting into death metal, and still I've always respected it and loved it up until a certain point, and then I kind of just like, you know, forgot. I didn't forget, but I just stopped listening to. I think Kill was the last Cannibal album that I purchased, and but when you're there and you're live and you're feeling the energy of everybody in that room, and Cannibal is just such a professional act that you know they're gonna come and bring it. And it's crazy to see like Alex is all gray hair now. It's like we're all still like fucking, it doesn't matter how old we are, dude. Like death metal does not die. It does not die.
And I think also just what we were talking about, like with the presence and stuff, you're also, when you haven't seen one of those big bands live or something, and you're maybe hearing about them for the first time years down the road from when they actually started and all the hype started around them, and you might be like, I don't know, understand why they're so popular, because today you have this guy and this guy who's like much more technically proficient and stuff, but it's not just about how good they are playing the music. It's also about just their. And I remember when I was on that tour with Beneath, and the drummer from Malignancy, his name is Mike Heller, is a fucking awesome drummer and really great guy. He plays with Fear Factory too. He was talking about, like, I don't understand with Dave Lombardo why everyone loves him so much. I mean, he's not the tightest drummer in the world and stuff. And George from Dehuman was like, bro, you don't understand. When Dave Lombardo plays the drums, 100,000 people go fucking insane.
Yeah.
When you play, people go like, I don't really understand. How is he doing that? You know, it's
Dave Lombardo.
It's fucking Dave Lombardo, dude.
Hell yeah.
And it's nostalgia too. It's like all the sick albums that really got me into metal. Or I shouldn't say all, but like there's a massive amount of metal albums that Dave Lombardo has played on that came to me in that really like infantile but super hungry stage of my metal, you know, whatever. And Dave Lombardo will always, that's the thing. It's like, yeah, of course there's drummers out there that can play Dave Lombardo's stuff. They could play it better. They could do crazier shit with Testament or Slayer or whatever, but it's like it's just solidified that Dave Lombardo was Slayer's drummer, and we love all the songs that he was playing on, and that Testament album, The Gathering, dude. That was like a big album for me, dude. And Dave Lombardo was on drums. So it just like gets ingrained into you, like, oh, dude, Dave Lombardo's like the sickest thrash drummer on the planet. And then it'll stay with you throughout the whole thing, even though
like you get infected by the mythology that surrounds these artists.
Yeah.
And you kind of forget about it. But then when you see them live, you're like, oh, fuck, like,
it gets
you can't help
again.
but perceive that like star power that's just emanating from them. And even in, like, we're talking about death metal bands, so it's not like Top of the Pops or like AAA or anything, but they you can't help but kind of be brought back into that like nostalgic frame of mind where you're so amped to be seeing them do their thing, regardless of the music. Almost, you're just like kind of basking in the situation.
Totally.
At least that's how I feel about it.
Dave Colross is another example of that too. If you get into the more extreme drumming, like Dave Colross has this like what you said, mythos that was like has been building up with him throughout everything that he's done. Very calculated and very having all those albums that are so influential that he's played on. It's always going to be like Dave Colross is the sickest. Yeah, I mean, actually, and I've witnessed it. Cole Ross is like one of those drummers that does not, at least in my experience, has not missed a beat watching him. It was like the most perfect Suffo set I ever heard when he played at the Regency Ballroom with them and Gorguts. It was just one of these fucking monster nights, dude.
He's like a
And
tidal wave, just
Colored Sands had just come out, and you're just like
I
Gorguts,
didn't realize
Dax,
he was
Suffos.
that set. I was there and I didn't realize he was playing that set. Crazy.
Yeah, dude. Cole Ross
It's
fucking
nuts.
was and Matty Way was there, and we're just like,
I remember.
dude, he's like perfect right now. Perfect. It sounds just like the album.
Yeah, and then it's not only about the backstory and the mythos, but also just like that aura that some people have. Because how many hundreds or even thousands of drummers have like covered a Slayer song, and it's some of them might do it like to perfection, and it's still it doesn't have that extra, you know.
There's something that we can't explain in language that is missing.
It's the person's personality coming out
Yeah.
too. So you're like, I'm going to perfectly play a Slayer song like Lombardo, or am I going to perfectly play it like a machine, or like to click, or what's the goal, you know? Or am I trying to copy their style? Like, because they have this, it's a simply put a feel that's theirs, right?
Yeah.
So Lombardo's got his feel, you know, that's his, you know.
Yeah, there's this guy, you probably heard of him, who does like YouTube covers, drumming his what's his name? Eloy Casagrande. Have you seen those videos of him?
I'm not sure.
Well, anyway, he just does the same songs that everyone has been doing for the last 15 years. Slipknot and whatever. And just something about how the way he does it is just, he gets 1 million views while someone else doing it just as accurately gets like 300 views. But it's just like his fucking presence, you know. He shows up on there, he's jacked as fuck, and he beats the shit out of the drums, and that matters a little bit more than like, does he do this fill exactly as it is on the album? You know?
Right. That's cool.
Hitting hard is pretty cool to hear too live, and like Dave Lombardo, going back to Dave Lombardo, he hits like really hard, you know.
Yeah,
he's super tight. Like I saw him drum for the Misfits with Glenn Danzig singing.
Oh,
like,
sick!
In Las Vegas at Caesar's Palace. It was great. But yeah, I mean, he was so sick. Like for the Misfits too. I mean, just everything he does is sick.
He's back in Testament now, right?
I think so.
Yeah, I believe so.
He came here with Fantomas.
Oh
hell yeah!
And did a show with Korn. That was awesome. Although they were booed off the stage.
Why?
Really?
Too weird?
Just simple-minded Icelandic audience. They were there to see Korn. They were 15 years old or something, and then Fantomas go out on the stage and do some weird stuff.
Yeah,
and people were just not for it.
Bummer.
And it was also like presented in like a incorrect manner, because it should have been like proposed as like the huge deal that it is, but it was more just like it's Korn and they're bringing somebody with them, you know.
Yeah.
And
No,
like
I mean,
even though like
that's a really. There's so many there's so many good people in that band, but it's at the same time like you really need to be in the know to know about Fantomas.
That was just what I was gonna say. Like you like, even though you're like into music and know your stuff, you're not necessarily gonna recognize Mike Patton on stage. You know, it's just not like that. You know,
I literally was recently, the last time I saw Mike Patton was with John Zorn at the chapel in SF.
Oh, nice.
And you know, it was hard to find, you know, somebody who would want to go see that, because you have no idea what's going to happen. You know, I mean, it was a weekend or 4 nights in a row that was all about John Zorn's 60th birthday and all the a lot of bands that he had that put out albums of his music and stuff. So like the night that I picked was Secret Chiefs 3, Cleric, Simulacrum, and and just John Zorn and Mike Patton opening it up. So but it was an improv set of Mike Patton and John Zorn. He was improvising his sax and Mike was improvising his vocals, and it's like, oh dude, you remember Faith No More? Okay, now come see this improv freestyle John Zorn saxophone vocal thing, and you realize that like that everybody goes in with like, what is this, and then they realize that, oh, that's the same guy. Yeah, he's just making weird, screechy, loud
Have you ever heard the first Mr. Bungle demo?
Oh, yeah, dude.
Like
the Raging Wrath of the Easter Bunny?
Yeah. That is like some of the earliest like really crazy death metal shit that I've like heard.
Dude, well, if you think about it,
not
it's
the new remake version, but the old original recording, like it was crazy. Dude.
It literally was on par. Yeah, they were blasting, they were shredding, and it's like you understand why Scott Ian joined Bungle, because he probably got that demo back in the day.
Yeah.
It was like, oh dude, this shit is actually fucking like hardcore. Like it's like this crossover feel,
like really ahead of its time. Like surprisingly, like go back and listen. I forget when it came out, but it was like either beginning
88 or
89
or
something, I think. But
or no, 85. What am I talking about, dude? It's 85. That demo is from 85.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, dude. It's
I
really
listened to
early.
the redone version, and I was kind of like it just sounds too polished, and I don't know.
I know, but
they
want
the same feel.
I think that probably is like somewhat of a thing where they're like, this is what we're doing as teenagers in high school. We wanted to, buff it out for you guys so you guys can see what we were doing back in the day, because that demo is kind of unlistenable it's still it's good. I love lo-fi shit, and I love listening to that. I'm saying unlistenable to people who would
like new audience.
Sure.
So it's like they're just trying to like get the new generation into what they were doing back in the 80s,
Right.
Hey, I'd be proud as fuck if that was my demo back in the 80s, when things are still like blossoming and getting more extreme. Like they actually did contribute to boosting things up, which we have been in the weeds so much. I'm going to say contributing to boosting things up. Let's take it back to Ophidian Eye.
I was just gonna.
Desolate is a big contribution to pushing things into the next the Uga, the Kali Uga, the fucking what is it, Hindus that they have these long spans of time. Well, yeah, dude, death metal's being pushed into the next one. I think, dude, I'm feeling like the next, like, or you're circling back on yourself. We're getting back to the point where it's like, boom, we're pushing through to forward now, and something like Ophidian Eye is a perfect example of what's going on, dude.
Can you guys hear this?
Yeah. Yes. When you turn it down, it sounds weird though.
Yeah,
keep it like that. It's up all the way. It won't go any louder. Dude, I can't hear it, but you guys can.
Yeah.
Whoa, that sounds really weird.
Does it?
Yeah.
I can stop it. I guess what we can do.
Yeah, like I like for this song, because it's the fastest song on the album.
Yeah, unfurling.
Yeah, and like just what comes to mind about it is that like the solo section on it is like a major sounding like chord progression, and like a lead over it, and like the idea that I had in mind for that one was I was listening to a lot of the Pixies at the time.
Nice.
Oh, cool.
And it was to do like a progression similar to like Debaser or like Monkey Gone to Heaven or something like that, and take it to put it in this setting, like a chord progression such as that one, and solo over it. And yeah, that was essentially what I was thinking when I did that section of it.
I think what I think about with this song is when I first heard the first mixes of the album coming from Chris Donaldson, and I was listening to all the songs, and when I got to that song, that's when I first realized like we did really well to get like a native English speaker to do the vocals on this album, because John's delivery of every word in that song is fucking like not an Icelandic pretending to be an American couldn't have done it like that. And just when the song slows down and it becomes like more chunky and heavy, I think the vocals are like really on top of everything there. And I was just like, that's when I was really happy we got John on board for that. And then I started hearing it in much more places on the album. But if it would have just been like Jón Sigurðsson from fucking Breiðholt, it would have been fucking good at all.
We actually when we were listening to it last night at David's, he had it on his Apple TV on the thing, and it was showing like the lyrics lit up going down the side all big on his TV, and I was like, whoa, it's cool. And I've never like seen that before with it. And it was like, everything was just super perfect and clear and tight, and I was like, that's pretty cool.
Get over
like on Spotify. Was it there?
Oh, you can do it like that. Yeah, nice, cool. But yeah, dude, so I wanted to ask too. So, previously we had, Daniel and John on, and so we kind of talked about their musical history as we do usually on the episodes and stuff. And I want to ask you, Ragnar, about yours too. And I'd like to go into your influences as a drummer and a musician, but real quick, I wanted to also ask John, you had mentioned that you were into like growing up like punk and stuff, like kind of styles of music, and David and I grew up with that stuff too in San Diego, and so I kind of wanted to connect real quick about that before we get into his history. That's cool.
For sure.
So you said that you got into that was your bridge to getting into metal, kind of, right?
Yeah, basically. It was as you guys talk about frequently, you start off with whatever you got into first, and then it's a never-ending climb to find the more like the heavier, more brutal stuff. And I got kind of dumped into like street punk and crust punk, and that led into grindcore, and that led into porno grind, which led into gore grind, which led into death metal, which led into deathcore, and just like the roots are just like continuing.
Finally, someone who can actually tell me, like, what is porno grind? Can you please tell me what it is?
I think we all need to know.
As far as I know, it's a bunch of like one-man Indonesian bands, like just like one guy in a guitar in his bedroom with like a drum machine.
One guy.
Does it like have anything actually to do with porn? Like, is it
I scraped the surface of that with Libido Airbag. That was the only real deal.
We used to sell that shit at Streetlight, and people would come in and buy it, and I'd like ring them out, and these covers were like so fucking crazy. Dude.
Yeah, dude. I mean, the one that I got was somewhat decent in the sense that it was just a girl like deep throating a gun or something like that, but the rest of the Libido Airbag discography, those covers are crazy. Oh, actually, I should say Waco Jesus. That's another one too. That one was wicked. That was the first time I ever opened up a CD and was like, "This is the grossest thing I've ever fucking looked at right now." Like, I've seen so many death metal albums up to this point. There's so many, but no, we're just gonna actually take real pictures of like chicks shitting on each other, and you're just like, dude, this is the. I'm actually nauseous opening this album, and then I'm like, oh, dude, this song is pretty good.
Yeah,
I'm looking at that right now.
In the door with
Reminds me of some of those. It's like one of those shock sites, Yeah, I've never seen that before.
That's funny, dude.
But yeah, that's how it progressed.
So porno grind's how you got into Ophidian. That's the main type style.
If you want to do like the abridged summary, that's going to be a bullet point in the Wikipedia page. Like John originally was a.
That's super interesting.
What percentage in the like overall like influence and seriousness of the band, like Ophidian, what percentage of that do you think is like influenced by porno grind?
I'd say like for my part, if we're just I'm gonna say it's what
100,
1 of 5. Like I'm just a human and like embodiment of porno grind as like a genre. I'm an avatar of porno grind.
Maybe that's the secret, dude. Maybe that's it.
Start doing NFTs of porno grind, but John is just in the middle with his nice beard.
So if I was a listener,
biography is like John was born, and then he got into porno grind, and now I'm like,
So if I was a listener of the show and I was like, I think I'd like to go check out some Porno Grind after the show, what band would you recommend would be the one that? What's the?
So the one that I liked the most was a German band called Gut, and the guy, it was two guys, I think, and one actually went on to go be in porn. That was like his life's goal, and so like he kind of transitioned away from music altogether. And I was like, look, I guess like this is the ultimate like.
It's a great story.
German porn actor. It must be something like Waco Jesus, you know.
He was living his band or his lyrics more than anybody else.
Yeah, he saw it through to the finish, like literally.
Right.
It's like Corpse Grinder saying, you know what? I'm actually gonna just become a murderer.
Oh
dude.
my God.
I'm quitting music. I'm gonna go murder people, dude.
Mm-hmm. But I mean,
actually start grinding corpses. You know?
Yeah. But I gotta admit, I'm out of like my fingers no longer on the pulse of the Porno Grind development. So
I would say that's probably
it's
probably for the better, you know. I mean, we're all dads now, dude. Come on.
know.
And I got a daughter, so I'm like now female like disrespect it hits me a little bit harder, dude.
Yeah, you got to be an ally, man.
Misogyny is not a thing that I actually condone.
Mm-mm.
Did you like totally had nothing to do with misogyny? Do you like Amoebics? That band's really cool, right? No Gods, No Masters.
Yeah,
that's a sick. That's like, what do you call it? Is that Crust? Would that be called Crust, Dave?
I think so. I think they could be attributed as one of the first like D-beat. Not really D-beat. They were pretty low tempo, but like crust bands that kind of merged, even like new wave of British heavy metal influences into their like punk music. So it was like kind of stonery and like doomy, and it really, those were one of the early bands to kind of bridge the gap, and then like Napalm Death took it and like incorporated more up tempo blast beats and stuff like that, and it like it just all goes back to it being a really natural progression into more extreme music, and then at a certain point I started like hearing modern death metal with like high production value, and where you could hear all the notes and like it sounded super sick, and I was like, oh, I didn't know this was what I wanted, but it is, and it the rest is history.
Nice.
Dude, I still mad respect for like crust punk, even though I didn't dive super deep. David and Josh, again, the people that we've been talking about who turned us on to Ophidian, I also got me into crust punk and like His Heroes Gone, Tragedy, shit. There's another band that you showed me, Dystopia. Yeah, like all that shit's super sick, dude, and I love that's like my punk, because when you guys talk about growing up punk, like I never really was introduced to the real punk rock, dude. It was all bullshit. That was, I shouldn't say bullshit, but it's just like watered down versions of it that got popular. Yeah. But then David and the San Diego crew came into my life and showed me what real punk was, and I was like, oh, dude, I missed out. I wish I did go through the punk stage when I was younger.
It's all about rudimentary peni, dude.
Yeah, they're sick.
It's just great.
Yeah, the British anarcho punk wave was pretty influential on me, and then that kind of like went out into diaspora, and then there's like New York had a crust scene, and it just
there was a lot, like when we were coming up, John, also there was like a lot of bands that like crossed over between like grindcore and like crust punk and anarcho and all that. Like Phobia is one of them for sure.
Yeah.
They were always super influential, but yeah.
That's a good bridge for sure to grindcore, like you had said, John, earlier. You went from crust punk to grindcore. Like that's a total natural. I don't want to call it progression, but just like that's a natural move, I think.
Yeah, and in a lot of respects, you just kind of like you don't even know it's happening. Like you just some of these bands fit so perfectly into both genres that you're like, oh, it could go easily either way. And if you're going down the rabbit hole, you're just as likely to go towards death metal as you are to more like punk rock or whatever.
It's more like subject matter may be like the thing that changes first.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Totally.
grindcore is definitely not. I mean, yeah, it's still political, but I'd say that you get more political and like social in the crust punk realm.
Yeah.
More.
Yeah, I mean, and a lot of early grind bands were really politically motivated, but then you have just as many early grind bands that are straight up just gore and
Yeah.
this type stuff. So that's where like
both.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so
Who'd you say?
Carcass.
Oh, Carcass. I was thinking
Yeah.
Carcass.
They were like political, and they started like the gore thing also.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Carcass rules.
Pioneers, dude.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, rad, dude.
I'm
So
yeah,
Ragnar,
me being on this, I feel like we haven't still talked enough about this album, dude.
Well, we want to hear about Ragnar's.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about
Yeah.
Ragnar's kind of history, and then leading into like what influenced him to drum on it, and then we'll talk maybe about the songs in more detail and stuff. So yeah, I mean, so just to get us up to speed, Ragnar, like Anthony, you want to ask him how you usually do it? You know, we kind of
Yeah, I mean, totally. I'm not gonna be able to stick around for like the whole thing. I probably got like 20 more minutes.
It's
But
okay.
dude,
We'll be around.
Ragnar, dude, this is the question that I already say that I can't fucking say this properly, but I always want to like, I want the guests to figure out the time where you're at as early as you possibly can think of when music hit you on a different level. It wasn't just in your ears in the background, like something grabbed you, gave you the goosebumps, and you didn't even realize why.
Yeah, I think, yeah, that's easy for me. Like, like I said, I don't remember a lot from my life, but I remember a lot of these like stepping stones in music. And I think the first ever time that I felt this feeling of like overwhelming like power or whatever, like these goosebumps that you get from metal, is when I was listening to Queen in my like
Hell
living
yeah.
room, probably like 5 years old or something. And
Mhm.
like all of us,
Yep.
I have an older brother and I have an uncle, who listen to rock and metal. So, and yeah, I just remember, I don't remember which song or which album. I think we had like some live album from Queen and stuff. And yeah, I really, really used to listen to that a lot. Probably, yeah, like I said, 5 or 6 years old. And then it used to be pretty common here in Iceland that you would be sent to a farm for the summer. Just like the parents would just like let their kids fuck off so they can and you would go help out at a farm or just be there. And because each family usually has some relative somewhere as farmers. So I used to be sent to the north in the summer to this farm. I was a guy there like 4 or 5 years older than me, and I remember just being out in the fields with him doing whatever, and he's just like, "So what do you listen to?" I listen to metal. What metal? What do you listen to? I listen to Queen. Ha! That's not metal. Queen is for faggots, he said. And I just remember going back home just like, oh fuck, I'm not really listening to metal. And I went with my mom to a music store in the mall here, Kringlan. I think it was called Skivan or something.
The bagel.
Yeah, the bagel. Well, it's another. Skivan also means record, like a vinyl record. But yeah, it can also mean a bagel, I guess. And I went in there. I remember I said, just, "Hello, I'm going to have one metal, please." And the guy.
I would just spit my coffee out, dude.
I literally said that. I just like, yeah, it's a thunderrock. It literally means
Extra large.
Oh, I'll have one metal, please.
And he presented me with like two choices. I don't remember like what the other choice was that I didn't pick, but I'm guessing it must have been like Iron Maiden, because what I did end up picking was Load by Metallica. So I started off like in the completely different end of Metallica from what most people would do. So I still fucking.
This is interesting. I've
Yeah,
actually everybody usually cites Riding the Lightning, Master of Puppets, but starting later. All right, let's hear this, dude.
I didn't hear that. I didn't hear those albums until literally years later, and I don't think I've ever. And if some people get annoyed with me in this, because I haven't listened to most of these albums ever, like front to back, Metallica, Cannibal Corpse, or anything like that. I think my route was pretty fucking weird.
What's your route then?
Yeah.
What was the stuff that got you excited then?
Load was definitely like the next stepping stone. That was definitely more heavy than Queen. And then as I said, like my brother was listening to. I think it must have been the next thing was just Slipknot, which is like for my generation is
Mhm.
it's like our Slayer, you know. It's got
Totally. No, I hear you, dude.
Yeah.
These guys have heard me say it multiple times, dude. But Slipknot is a very, very important band for me in my, growing into being a metal guy.
Fuck yeah, I totally agree, and I never understood why people think they have to like mature out of those bands, because I think
No,
there's
I
so many.
still love
All of
those
these,
two first
yeah,
albums are great, or three,
oh,
even in Mate
yeah,
Feed Kill Repeat. I love listening to that one too.
yeah, I like Volume 3 as well. But Iowa, there's so many of these black metal bands or whatever trying to make an extremely like angry and emotional album, and just Iowa. I just skip over that shit and go back to Iowa if I want to hear some fucking
Yeah,
power, man. So
it is
yeah, and
very aggressive. That's probably the most aggressive Slipknot album
yeah, I think
recorded,
so too.
because
Yeah,
they kind of like slowed down, and they got more melodic and more poppy. But like
yeah,
Iowa was like their most extreme thing to
yeah.
date. Sorry,
It's like
I'm being I'll be right back. Sorry.
yeah, I agree with him, man. If you put on Iowa, if you're not even in a Slipknot mood, you're gonna be in a Slipknot mood after the first couple songs. It's just fucking catchy. And yeah, my uncle, who's the same age as my brother, he was a huge metalhead, and he was actually a lot into like punk and hardcore. And he knew I was already listening to stuff like Slipknot and similar bands, Korn, all those new metal things. And he used to bring me to shows because he would go to live shows, and he's like a huge guy. He's 2 meters high. I don't know what that is in feet, probably like 350 feet or something. And he would make me hold his wallet and his phone, his Nokia, while he went into the mosh pit. So I would stand,
Nice.
like a really important, like a huge fucking deal for me, like 11 or 12 years old, just watching him go into the pit, and he towered over everybody. So it was really fun to see him going crazy in the pit. So yeah, I was exposed to a lot of hardcore bands and punk bands and all these skank beats, So,
Mhm.
but I guess I always gravitated towards more. I like very quickly got into blast beats and death metal like that. And I think in 2005 or 2006, I didn't have any metal friends. It was just my brother and this, and they're like 6 years older than me. So I felt pretty alone in my listening to brutal music. So I just I was already playing drums. I started playing drums when I was 11. A family friend of ours, he was a drummer and is a drummer. He moved to Denmark to go studying or something like that, and he had to keep his drum kit somewhere while he was away. So he left it in our living room, and the rest is history. If you put a drum kit in front of a young kid, they're gonna fucking try it unless they're strange. He also that guy was he used to play actually in a death metal band called Sororicide, which was a good old school death metal band here in the 90s.
Nice.
So that's in 2001, I think, and in 2005 I was already super frustrated with my friends at school who only wanted to play pop music with me. So I just put an ad on an online forum here, just looking to join a black metal band or a death metal band, and yeah, that's how it all got started. The guys who answered the ads were fucking huge, a couple of huge dudes. One of them was a power lifter, like training in the same gym as those fucking guys you were mentioning earlier. 18-year-olds and lifting 300 kilo deadlifts and shit, and they just showed up to my house. I was nervous as shit, and they were just like, "Hello, we want to play really fast, like extremely fast, and you gotta learn before next practice. You're gonna learn Disciple by Slayer and Crystal Mountain by Death, and we already know those songs. So next week you're just gonna know them,
Yeah,
or we kick your ass." So that's
That's awesome.
Well, I
So
mean, being forced to learn it, you're just like, fuck, this is what I got to do. I don't want to get my ass kicked, dude.
they were so fucking, these were so fucking golden age for this, I guess, like second or third wave of death metal, because Decapitated were blowing up. This is just like 1 year before the drummer passed away, and they had that huge accident. So organic hallucinosis or whatever it's called, it just came out. We were listening to that, and we were listening to a lot of these Scandinavian metal bands like Cyclone and Myrksko, I guess, all these fucking really fast bands. And I was listening to black metal as well. I was listening to an American band called Cost of a Saisal, which the drummer just literally just plays as fast as he can the whole album through. Fucking amazing guy.
Say it again. Say the name slower. What is it?
Cult of a Saisal, or however that's pronounced. And we from the very beginning we just wanted to play really, really fast. I told you they were fucking huge guys. I'm not even joking. Like I remember one practice, one rehearsal. We were all really drunk, and we went out to have a smoke or something, and I came back in pretty pissed. Pretty drunk, and I started to take a piss into the garbage bin inside the rehearsal space. And Ulfur, the guitarist, came in and just like lightly tapped me on the head, like, "What are you doing, you idiot?" But he didn't realize that he's 5 times larger than me, so he broke the wall with my face. There was a hole in the wall. What is it called? This fucking material that
sheetrock.
Yeah. Like, what are you doing, man? And there always was a hole in the fucking. Like I woke with such a big headache. So when I tell you, they told me like you got to learn to play Slayer and Death. You weren't gonna say like, I don't feel like doing it. You're gonna fucking
My life depends on this.
They're gonna come find me. Yeah.
There's gonna be a lot of holes.
Totally.
But it's like wanting to play really fast versus writing good songs while playing really fast is the difference
able to do
between
that.
Ophidian I and a lot of these other bands who just play to be fast.
Yeah, I know. I think we were trying to just learn how to play these Decapitated songs and make something like that. But then there's always this next thing. I remember because I joined Beneath a few years later, and we were writing songs for our first EP, and I think we had all the songs at like 230 or 240 BPM, and then Flashgod released probably that Mafia EP, and they're like, I came to the rehearsal space, and the guys were like, "Bro, did you hear, man? They have a song in there that's 280 BPM." And then I was, fuck. So we have to make all the songs 280 BPM then, I guess, because now our songs are gonna suck if they're like 40 BPM slower. So. Yes, it does sometimes feel like a competition, but at the same time, we weren't listening to. We were listening to bands that had groove and originality and.
You said competition. That is the one of the key components to being in a scene and seeing what everybody else is doing and wanting to stay, at the helm, or not that at the helm, but like, being at the forefront of things. You want to keep up with the pace, at least. That's what everybody's, or not even keep up the pace. There's enough people who are attributing to actually exceed everything that's happening, but it's just like the constant wanting to move forward or at least stay relevant. Like that is the competition we're talking about. This like Decrepit Birth and Odious and Severed and all of those guys had this healthy, like happy, positive competition going on where everybody had to like keep up with the pace, dude, or you're gonna get lost in the wake,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but you have to do it in your own way too.
Yeah, and I think there's like speed, and this human performance of extreme speed it can also be a way to bring you that feeling of like overwhelmed power, because you can look at a drummer who's playing like an extremely well-tuned drum kit, and he knows exactly what he's doing, and he can play these beautiful polar rhythms, and you can just hear all the intricate small parts and the details in the composition. But then you see a fucking shitty drum cam of Derek Roddy from 2004, and he's just fucking blasting so fast it completely blows the other thing out of the water, even if the drums don't sound as good and maybe it's not as like technically written or anything, but it's just so that's kind of at least for me it's like a moth to a flame.
Death metal's like it's a combination of the brain and the caveman. Like we want the caveman shit we want that like dirty caveman shit, but at the same time, like you also want the intricate, intelligent shit, and that's what death metal is, dude. Like it hits you in all those different spots. Like a groovy breakdown is gonna take you back to wanting to hit rocks and throw rocks and
well,
Slam your head against the wall.
We're kind of the modern cavemen, if you think about it. Like we're like in our our apartments or houses, like online, like in our caves, we're writing music, podcasting. We're like in a different way. So we're
instead
like
of finding a cave, we
in
just
our
made the
like
cave.
futuristic. We're in like digital futuristic cave writing songs.
It's all digital cave paintings, and
like
we're all just throwing rocks
cavemen.
at each other over
Exactly.
over the internet.
But it's pretty interesting to me, though, Raggi. I'm not sure if I've asked you about this, but like I remember that back then, like back in those days when you were starting to play with those bands, Diabolus, Atrum, and stuff, even Beneath, there weren't really anybody else focused on the speed like you were. And also another thing about the bands in those days is that they almost all of them just focused on the live performances. Like rarely those bands have any proper recordings available. It was almost always just like a focus on just playing live and being the sickest and or heaviest. But I remember that like Raggi was getting sometimes some heat for being like focused on the speed and stuff, which of course was just some like petty envy and stuff like that. But it's interesting to me, like why did you focus on the speed so early on?
Well, first of all, you're not completely right, because there was this one Icelandic band who did have a really speedy drummer, which is Momentum. And
Yeah,
the first,
sure. Yeah.
the first band
for a
ever
while, and they sort of changed. But yeah.
And I remember very much the moment when I started to get into blast beats, because when Iowa came out, they had this song, the second song on the album or something, had blast beats in it. I think it's yeah. And I remember I didn't like it then. I didn't like those blast beats on that. I just wanted those like slammy.
It's actually a split time blast too. And I was like, oh, dude, that was my first, well, probably my first introduction to a split time blast.
Hell yeah. But then I was listening. I used to go to blackmetalradio.com a lot and just listen to a playlist that they put together every day or something like that. And I thought I was listening to black metal, but sometimes it was actually death metal. But however, I was also listening to some Icelandic bands. We had like this streaming site just called like rock.is, and there was this one metal band on there called Myrk. And they had a lot of blast beats, and I just remember like listening to it and thinking like, this is shit, this is not great. And then the day after, like, I have to check it out, like there's something pulling me back.
Mm-hmm.
I actually have the cassette here of their first. I can't even see the logo, it's so gray. I just remember like when it actually clicked, like I was just listening to this long blast beat session and just, shit, this is fucking amazing. All of a sudden, just now I get it. Can you see the photo, like the super cult black metal guy screaming into his guy?
Yeah.
And and that guy, like that band was no more when I was listening to it, but they had already like evolved into a death metal band called Momentum. And I've talked about Momentum before. Like I did a short list of my favorite or most influential drummers, and I included Christian there, who is the drummer for Momentum. He was doing single-footed blasts at 240 BPM with like the swivel technique and stuff like that. And I used to see them live. But that only lasted for, like the first year or so of my career, if you can call it that, because they very soon evolved into like, now we're going to play more like, I don't know what to call it, like stoner metal or something.
It's like progressive. It's like almost like Mastodon or something like that. Intronaut.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Talking about going in circles and like the student becomes the master or whatever, because he completely stopped playing blast beats for many, many years. And now recently he got back in touch with me and he's like, bro, what trigger module do you use? What's the technique? And he's
getting back into it.
Yeah. He joined another band and now he's playing blast beats, and he's actually so fucking good that he got right back on track where he left off pretty much.
That's sick, dude.
Yeah, so there was this one guy, and I fucking recommend all of you guys to go to Bandcamp and check out the EP that they did, which is just a death metal EP. The band is called Momentum. The EP is called The Requiem, and you can hear some fucking sweet drumming in there. And I know for a fact, like none of it is edited, because there was nobody they just recorded that EP with some pop music recording engineer who had no idea how to do the studio magic to make it all tighter.
Breaking out the cassette too just makes me like, it makes like I start to get excited because I'm like, man, all my first albums that I bought were on cassette. You know, I didn't have a CD player until a certain point in my life, but like hearing and seeing like this resurgence in cassettes and vinyl and limited releases, and I love that that's still like at least trying to be a thing aside from all the crazy digital, you know, shit that's been going on.
I have to name drop one more band since you asked me about this, Daniel, is Withered, which is an Icelandic black metal band that existed also like from probably 2003 until 2005 or 6. And they were playing probably like 230 beats per minute or something. And when they recorded their first EP, which I also have on cassette here, the drummer was 14 years old and he was playing these fucking sick ass alternating blast beats at that speed with like Nicholas Barker level drum fills and shit. And nobody was able to replicate that until maybe I did it when I was like fucking 18 or 19, but he did it at fucking 13 and 14. And I know those guys were listening to like these really old British thrash metal bands, or I know they listen a lot to Sabbath, which is a really weird band. But yeah, so I had these guys.
It's just interesting to me to like think back because when I'm thinking back to those guys and those bands, I don't really remember them being like emphasizing the speed as much as you did just from the first time I even heard of you. You know, it was like
it goes back to that
guy, he's gonna be playing fast, like that's his thing, you know. So.
Yeah, but
back to that mythology where you always think the people who influenced you are like they have that like magic touch, like they can't do wrong and they're always going to be better than you, and in some like you're always like fighting towards that ideal. So like I get that. Like Dan, coming from an outside perspective, Ragnar was like the new kid on the block who was blasting everyone's fucking brains in, and then but in his mind he's just trying to live up to this ideal that he saw when he was coming up. So it's
fuck yeah. And even if I surpassed Christian in beats per minute years ago, I still think he's way better than me as a drummer. But
he's a
I don't know,
drummer.
man. He showed me the Derek Roddy forum, and I logged in on there, and I guess from there I also got infected with the competition, because nobody on the fucking Derek Roddy forum was like, I just want to play mellow and slow. Like everyone was just like, how can I play fucking fast? You know?
I remember that back in the day.
Were you were on the Roddy forum too, Casey, right? What was that? Did it have its own website or was it on?
Dude.
Was it
DerekRoddy.com, bro?
That's what it was, huh?
It was
on
on
his website.
Oh, it's this forum on his website, yeah.
Man, I missed that. Dude. It was much better than the Facebook groups, man. I really missed that forum.
Oh yeah, that forum was cool. That was like the best one. That's where I met Matt. That's where I met, we got connected with all those guys.
Oh shit! You probably already said that on the show, but I don't. It didn't click with me. That's where you guys met.
And people would post their demos and stuff like that. But that was like way back. I mean, that was like before. Yeah, it was before YouTube existed.
Yeah, and also it helped a lot that you were anonymous on there, because I know it's not always a positive thing to be anonymous on the internet, because it brings out a lot of shitty personalities, but it also it creates like this mythical person. Because if someone, it's much easier to look up to someone where you don't know more than like maybe 10% of their personality, and you imagine the rest. Then if you see someone doing something cool, and you can instantly go on their Facebook and see like, oh, he's actually like that beat father or some shit like that. It takes away the fucking glamour of what you might imagine.
That kind of ties back into what we were talking about earlier about like, having death metal as like the common ground and being able to knock out a bunch of the social steps to get to being a friend. It's like it's hard for me to like grasp it right now, but it literally is like I'm losing it right now. I'm losing it right now. I can't. I was in the middle of it and I fucking lost it. God damn it! Ugh.
Just like a vetting process, you get to
This
skip
hasn't
over all the
happened.
bullshit.
It hasn't happened in many a times on this podcast. No, I'm not even drunk. I'm not even drunk, dude. That's the thing, dude. And I'm barely smoking weed, so maybe that's it.
So we got to make a sober Anthony alert. Is that what we need to do?
I'm literally like, I had such a good point. God damn it.
Well, I think essentially, at least that's what I brought to
in my mind. I
my
thought I had a
bands.
good point.
Yeah, I think in my previous bands, like Beneath and the other bands, and Ophidian, I think the main element that I brought was this competition of speed. And I know Ophidian, I think at least when I came on board, they already knew I had done that album with Beneath, which was very fast. And I definitely think, because Daniel and Thordur and Simon are all like really great composers, and they wrote all the riffs, but they maybe didn't write them with extreme speed in mind. When I came on board, they thought like, maybe let's try it at that speed and see what it sounds like. And they just always sound better, faster. I think that was our bottom line. Like, it never sounds worse when it's faster. It just always sounds sicker. So, yeah.
But where's like the more technical influence come from? Because like you're more than just fast, all right? Like your writing and your fills and like the variations and the constant changes, like and even kicks or like tempo changes and stuff. It's just like very intricate and very focused and imaginative. So
I agree, dude. We've been speaking on the speed of it so much when really there's way more than just the speed.
And how the guitars go to it too.
Yeah,
totally.
Yeah, I think like I said before, we were listening to Decapitated and with WeTech drumming, and that we were doing covers of them and stuff, and they're both fast, but just if you're just looking at the old drum cams of WeTech, it's so fucking groovy, and he's playing with so much flair. So I guess it started there, and then later on with Necrophagist and all these bands, you get out of that speed thinking for a while, and you try to incorporate these other styles or learn a song like that, and then you go back to the speed. Like, now can I do the same thing but faster?
Dude, that's so. You saying that just made me think of exactly. It's like we were let's be as fast as we possibly can. Then it's like, wait, no. Let's scale it back a little bit. Let's actually write some songs. And now I'm seeing this album. When did Desolate get dropped? Was it 2020?
2021.
Just last year.
Okay, so and that just like brought me back to, oh yeah, dude, no. Death metal can be played very fast and very meaningful at the same time.
I think my fortune is also that I've always played with extremely good guitarists. Obviously Daniel and Simon are the best just musicians I've ever had the pleasure of being allowed to play with. But I've also in the past played with really great guitarists. So maybe as I was hyper focused on speed, they were also dragging me in more diverse directions. And Ragnar, you gotta check out this band, or we want you to play like this. That blast beats are cool, but can you also add this whatever accent to it and stuff like that? So
that's cool.
And when people have asked me sometimes, like, how did you get so good at drums, or what is the trick to progress as a player? I always say, just if you have the chance to play with someone who's much better than you at his instrument, definitely do it, because they're gonna pull you along. It's if you're the best guy in your band and you're pulling everyone else, you're not gonna progress very fast.
So here's the thing, though. It's like if you're a drummer and you see your guitar player and you feel in yourself that he's further along than you are. What is that guitar player aspiring to be if he doesn't have somebody to look at as better?
Well, I think with guitarist, usually you got at least two guitarists in each band, and they bounce off each other as well, right? So they're like pushing each other and mirroring each other.
So maybe it is just like your perception. Like maybe that guitar player looks at the drummer as somebody he's aspiring to get to that level as well. And it becomes this thing that just folds in on each other until it becomes this one thing.
Yeah, maybe. Because
it's like F1 where your teammate is your biggest competitor and you're always trying to outrace or whatever. your stablemates and like impress one another and write sicker shit for the benefit of the group. And I think that you, after a while, you get this sort of ideal where like you all have this common goal and like you're just trying to one up each other to get into a position where you can all make something that's
and then
sicker than
everybody
anyone.
at the end of it is like, oh dude, look what we did. And it's not about really at that point, it's not about one-upping each other. It's like, hey dude, look what happened because we one-upped each other.
Right. Yeah. It's not competition for the sake of competition. It's competition for the sake of like elevating the product that you're putting out.
Totally.
And that way it's like a little bit more wholesome because you can get like stoked. Like if your fellow guitar player or your colleagues or your counterparts are elevating their skills, it kind of invigorates you because you have this new benchmark that you're trying to get up to, so you can feel like you're worth your station in the band. And that's something like I know as vocalists we struggle with, and I don't know, I struggle with it personally. I can't speak to any other vocalists, but like again, touching on like the just being in awe of your bandmates.
Yeah, we get definitely in this genre, dude, for sure. John, you and I, the imposter syndrome is a very, very big thing because we're like, oh, dude, look at all these geniuses doing their thing, and all I'm doing is making weird vocal noises over it.
Totally.
And so what we have to do is get really into the writing aspect of it and shining yourself through the words.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
And also, as a death metal vocalist, it's hard for people to just hear your words. So you want to try and enunciate in a way that people can actually hear you. But even then, it's all about the words, dude. I got into this because of words. I literally was a poet before anything else, and it's still with me today. And I respect all the poets out there that are expressing it the way that we are. A poet that expresses his words in a way that nobody can hear them. Isn't it strange fucking conundrum right there?
Dude, like it's super niche for sure.
They're encrypted with growls,
It's really mysterious in a sense if you think about it. It's like, oh, dude, I'm going to put all this time and effort into crafting all these lines and words that I'm happy with them now as a poet. Now I'm gonna present them and express them in a way that nobody can hear them.
Most people can't understand it.
So I'd like to ask a question overall about Desolate, and just a thought that I think is really important is about the completeness of an album in terms of all the things we've talked about separately. And it's really interesting, like talking about the solos and the influence of the melody behind those, or the harmonic progression and major versus minor. And then the drumming and like the speed and like pushing that, and just like that's so cool. And then your vocals and like the meaning behind what you're singing and everything like that. And I think that like what is such a cool thing about this album, it's like a big secret that we feel like we've uncovered, like when all of our friends have been just, you got to listen to it and all this, is just how complete all those things are. And like when you really like absorb it and really rock it and listen to it and get into it, you just like realize like it's like shit, dude, like everything's like perfect. Like the way that you guys go into these like super heavy like parts, and then even with the guitars, like I never get tired of anything. Like it's like, okay, there's this melodic solo thing, and then it's like some heavy riff, and then some trippy like fucking, I don't even know what's going on, just some sick ass riff, some scale, and then it goes into like more, and then another solo like placed like in some interesting spot that goes into some super heavy part perfectly into this. It's just like, so I'm curious, like, I mean, it just feels to me, it's like there must have been so much thought behind all of that, but maybe it just came out naturally. But did you guys like, were you guys consciously like, all right, we want to make this shit like super brutal and also super melodic and kind of mix it all? And I mean, because it's so well done.
It's an important call out, because a lot of the melodic albums now don't do it for me. They're not heavy, they're not brutal enough.
Right.
They're just they're really technical. They sound amazing, but they don't really hit me in the stomach. So like, how did you keep that in check and like keep the big picture in mind?
I think that like for the, I think this also relates to the idea of having everybody feeding off of each other, to like, at least in this instance, it worked really well for us to like set really specific goals for us, because I think Raggi may be credited for that largely, because he was sort of constantly reminding us that we had to do the absolute best. We had to do because we were in a closed circle and everything, that we were going to do the best Icelandic album, and like, which then evolved to something even bigger in our minds. And we wanted to do like something meaningful, something that would like stand the test of time, something that would sort of make all this just roaming around playing music that nobody listens to, make it mean something. So I think that helped us a lot in creating like a driving force to be able to work towards that goal. As for like the intention of it, it was like, the goal was like, broadly speaking, like there, we wanted to be like really melodic, really heavy, really fast as well, although that emphasis sort of came into play like when I would say that like the band wasn't like properly started in this sort of iteration until Raggi came in. I had been with the band for maybe a year before and like didn't really know what was going on with it or where we were going with it. Started writing a little bit, and then Raggi came in and we sort of started talking and talking about the direction of the band, where we would be taking it. And then sort of everything started to roll and make sense. Then like gradually the more minute approaches to things were like coming into play. Like we had those elements, like I said, like the speed, the melodic, like the heaviness as well, like, and coupling all this together. But like the specifics of the sound of the band didn't really come to fruition until we basically started to write and started to like get to it, because then we of course like figured out that certain sections work well for us, or like basically chords just strummed almost. Like there are various sections on the album where it's just, you could play it on an acoustic guitar and it would just sound like Oasis or something, So like in Sequential Descent, for example, like the choruses there, it's like the way they're structured sort of, I'd say that song was somewhat of a turning point as well, because that sort of made everything sort of make sense, that like we could really like utilize all these different tools in order to get to that goal. Even though like the goal was very like tech death in nature, we could basically utilize all of these other facets of music to like make it into reality, and sort of and I would say that like we emphasized those qualities then, like after realizing it, because that's, in my opinion, like what makes the album like stand out, or like makes the album sound like this album, not somebody else's.
I think also like because as a drummer, the guys would go home and write some like incredibly just like magician level technical and intricate and beautiful melodies and whatever composition, and sometimes just a minor contribution has to be, and you guys were talking about it earlier with the caveman shit, it's like it can be extremely technical, it can be extremely like just musically progressive or whatever, but if it doesn't have blast beats and evil riffs, it's gonna miss the point. And then it's because there are so many, like you were talking about, David, there are so many bands who can do all the super noodly stuff, but it's just missing punch in the face. There has to be somewhere a master riff, so yeah, I think the same with when we're starting the writing of the next album. That's probably going to continue to be like, I have to remind myself and the guys sometimes, like, just remember to put an evil riff in there somewhere too,
Where's the beef?
Yeah, if you know what I mean.
That's awesome. You guys keep each other in check. I love it. It's great.
That's sick. Cool. Yeah. And I think like, and I could say a bunch of bands like just like when I write stuff that like, you know, like when I write a riff, I'm not usually like, oh, that's a Deeds riff. I don't think like, but it's more just like, oh, I'm influenced by like 20 bands on that riff or something, you know. but like there's and there's all the shit that I hear, you can say, oh, this sounds like this, but there's something like really sick about your vocals, John. And when you guys do heavy, brutal riffs, it sounds like almost like Deicide to me. Like it's like really evil sounding. And you have this like, I don't know what, or even Vital Remains, or like just Glenn Benton on the part. For some reason,
Glenn
that's what my brain just goes there. I love it. It's cool, man.
Glenn was probably the first death metal vocalist I tried to emulate. I think I mentioned that when I was on last time, but just the way he deploys layered vocals to me, like embodied the evil sounding death metal vocal delivery. And I know like and I kind of like the interplay between that and what Ophidian I presents melodically. I think that it's a good counterpart, and it kind of, to Ragnar's point, brings back the caveman shit that like we want to make sure carries through all the beautiful melody and reminds the listener that like, yeah, we're here to party, and like it's a death metal band. Like we're doing we're trying to play at the top of our caliber of skill, and then but also make something that's fun and enjoyable and re-listenable, has replay value. And to me, that aggression, I mean, I feel like this is something that most people who love metal can all agree on, is that the aggression is one of the things that keeps us coming back. And so
just real quick, John.
Yeah.
Oh, John, real quick. So to that point, what are you doing August 17th, man?
August 17th.
Want to go see the Deicide Legion show in Santa Ana, dude?
Yeah, probably.
We should all rage to that down here.
It's a few days before my birthday, so yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. Fuck yeah, I want to go to that tour. Sorry, I interrupted. I think you, Ragnar, you were starting to talk.
I was just saying, I think it was a surprise to all of us when the album came out and people described it as like happy and uplifting. Because when I was thinking about the album, I think about the first riff in Enslaved in a Desolate Swarm, or maybe the start of Storm Aglow or something. But then when they started to point out like what is that
positive chorus? There's a very uplifting aspect to the album, dude.
Well,
it is a very well, that's another thing too about the album that I love so much, is that it leans each way. You know, there's times where things like fear and sadness are happening, but then you lean to the other side and it's uplifting and getting you ready for whatever you're about to conquer. You know, it's like
you can get whatever you want out of the album, and that's what I love about it so much.
Yeah,
like,
that's exactly what it
all
is.
These different emotional scenarios where you can, depending on how you're feeling in a given day, like you get a different experience out of it because you'll glom onto certain parts more than others.
And another album that does that for me is Under a Western Sun by Son of Aurelius. There's this whole gigantic journey that you go through, and you go through every emotion too, and that album will always be so precious because of that. And Desolate is the same way with me. You guys take me through the conglomerate. You guys take me on the roller coaster of human emotion and human experience, and I go through it all throughout the whole entire album. That is what I think that we're uncovering now, is that there's albums that these albums that come up short for us, they're not taking us through the whole spectrum of experience and emotion, you know. And actually, you sit down with Ophidian I, very quickly you're going to realize you're getting shepherded through so many different things that you want to feel, you know?
Yeah. Well, I even had kind of like an attitude, like with doing like the most recent Synesthesia album. I recorded the drums actually in 2015, and then it got released kind of later. So it was like this long project, long story. But anyways, like during that time, I was kind of just like, I want to go back and just do something raw, unedited. I don't care how fast it is. I just want to dig in and have fun. And I was like, you know, taking a break from kind of playing metal. I was like teaching for a while and stuff, and had quit Decrepit in 2010. So I was taking kind of a 5-year break. And then, then we put that out, and I love how it came out. It's really cool. And it's super raw and all this stuff. And then at the time I wasn't as like, you know, like modern stuff. I wasn't as totally like I was like, there's a lot of cool bands coming up, but I just wasn't really feeling it. Then starting to do this podcast, and then Joseph kind of is younger, and he would kind of the professor, and he'd be like, "No, man, you got to check out these bands." And so he got us into more of the modern stuff. And before we heard you guys, and of course, Ominous Ruin is another great band that if you guys haven't heard that album, you should really check that out. Ominous Ruin is just of
mid voices that echo in stone.
Exactly. Yeah, dude, so sick. And Alex now plays in Odious now and stuff. But the thing is, like, honestly, like, you know, hearing you guys, like, was a band that really just changed it for me to go, like, holy shit, dude, like, I love this modern, I mean, I was already liking it, but I was really getting into like just incredible speed and taking it to that next level and seeing it done so tastefully. I'm like, oh, these guys just hit it out of the park so perfectly. And you influenced me on this new material to go kind of faster and try to just like, I'm not going to go like crazy, but I was going, you know, I'm getting up there and speed, not like 250, 260, but
hey, it's fast though, dude.
It's fast. You know, it's fast and
Sick.
it's fun, but it's fun. It's like, I don't even care what the number is or how I'm not as fast as Ophidian. I'll never be as fast as Ophidian. I'm not going to even try, but
Bro, don't even say that, man. That's not.
well, yeah,
Did you see that? What's the guy from Despised Icon called, the drummer? He fucking just put out an album with, I don't know, like 390 BPM kicks.
what?
Shut the fuck up, dude.
What does that even mean?
390?
I just made up a number. However,
It sounds like it was like
I was like, what? That's a big jump, dude. 390.
yeah, but he's definitely an older generation than me, and he didn't think like, I can never do it. He just thought like, oh, there are new bands doing 280. Now I must do it 280, and he fucking
that's insane, dude.
Guy's a monster.
And it's
I just think, okay, here's another thing that you can play that fast, no problem. But if your soul's not in it, I'm gonna see through it pretty quick. And I'm being a little egotistical when I say that, but I'm gonna really see through it. Like, are you doing this just to be that guy, or are you really in this to make the music? And dude, we've said it so many fucking times on this podcast because this podcast is about Ophidian I Desolate. If you want to see what happens when there's this inhuman aspect that still has a soul, inhuman, but still has a soul, raised by wolves, inhuman, but still has a soul. That's what Ophidian I is. The soul, the human soul is still in that album, dude. I really believe that, dude.
You guys blew us away. Just like, I think the best thing to explain is when Spawn of Possession came out, and like we were like, "What the fuck is this?" Dude,
or even Necrophagus.
Yeah, or of course, yeah, fuck yeah, dude. When Necrophagus came out, we were like, "What the fuck is this?" Like, you guys are that band to us right now. Like, and I think that, like, just so you know, like, we're not really doing this. I mean, there's bands that we know that are modern that are insane and we love, like Ominous Ruin is another one that we're really super into, but like, it's like there's not a lot of bands we're saying this to. Like, you guys really did something, man. Like, it's kind of like, honestly, I feel like the same as when I was talking to Dennis, you know, about a few weeks back about Incurso and stuff. And it's so, I don't know what's going on, but every time I put Ophidian I on, anytime like on my Apple Music, a song like stops or it shuffles, it goes to Spawn of Possession afterwards.
Yeah.
Every time. It's so funny. I'm like, wait a minute. Oh, yeah, that's Incurso. It's super funny. But anyways, but like, it's just how albums just go right over your head, like so amazing. And you're like, I need to hear that again. What the fuck was that? And it's like, you guys really achieved something that's like, we wouldn't be freaking out if we didn't feel that way. And there's other bands that we feel like are shredding and do things that we could never play, but just don't like do it for like, we're left like, it's great. But like with something with you guys just, okay, like so a good example is when I saw Judas Priest live, like a few years back, 2017, and I went with our friend Dave and we saw it. And I've been a huge fan of them for so many years. I've seen Iron Maiden a few times. I've never seen Judas Priest. And Rob Halford is over 70 now and all this stuff. And I've never got to fucking see them. And it was the sickest thing I think I've ever seen in my life.
That show was amazing.
So fucking good, dude. And like me and Dave just kept looking at each other like the whole show, like,
here's my question to you, Casey.
Let me finish. That's how my friend David and I here, when we listen to your album, even still, like even like yesterday, we're like looking at each other like,
I have a side question. I want to know how many times during that set did you almost cry?
Well, I mean, it's not like that kind of
Come
feeling.
on, just sell
Well,
us.
yeah, but
dude.
I mean, yeah, I mean, no, for sure. No, I mean, but I don't like cry
Only
to
once
Judas
every 5
Priest
minutes.
so much, you know.
Did you
Like,
actually have a tear?
But it was a happy tear. It's like more like just like
No, I know. But
party.
did you
Yeah.
leak out of your
Yeah,
eye
whatever you want
sockets,
to.
dude?
I mean
I don't know.
that
It's
set
really-
was a tearjerker. I'll say me and Simon
Simon
was
was
here
make
visiting
you
me
cry. Okay.
during that tour, and we
That's
went and
what's up,
saw
dude.
it, and it was an
Sorry,
incredible show.
Oh, you saw the Judas Priest one? Sorry, I
Yeah,
interrupted
that
you.
same tour.
you
Simon and
saw
I-
it?
Too, and
Yeah.
SF at the Warfield.
Ah,
And
Yeah.
I'm really not saying that to like make fun of you, because that is the moment that everybody's looking for when they're in a live concert, is to have an emotion arise involuntarily.
We're all just trying to feel shit out here.
Yeah, exactly, dude. And going to a live show, to be brought to that moment of, I have no control of my emotions right now. They took it over. They hijacked my emotions.
Mm.
That's what I'm looking for a live performance, dude. And Judas Priest would definitely pull that out of me if I finally got to see him. I Slayer and Judas Priest are just bands that I always end up missing, dude.
and I've never seen Slayer. It's crazy. It sucks.
Yeah.
I did. I missed it.
And
Every
speaking
time.
of live shows, are we ever going to see Ophidian?
Yeah, dude. When are you guys coming over to see us?
Seriously.
When can I give you a hug? I want to give you guys hugs, dude.
It's
Hopefully, come play at
we're
the
like
poorhouse.
starting to try and put something together now, because it hasn't really been possible like up until now. It's we've had a number of ideas on what to do locally here in Iceland, because we wanted to do something here as well. But yeah, we've been in touch with some promoters and had some ideas on what to do, but a lot of them are like still working through the backlog of tours and events that have been postponed. So I think it would be like sensible of me to say that like maybe like late this year, early next is like maybe possible.
Yeah,
But like
because
it's
all the festival slots and everything is filled with 2019 lineups, and I'm
so like we don't have anything set, but we're like
Dang.
trying to
Yeah.
get something going.
I'm playing my first live show just as a session drummer for a UK band next month, and that's a 2019 slot that was postponed year after year until now.
Wow.
We're finally playing it at Netherlands Fest. So it's just everything is booked, and also like
That's
I don't know,
crazy.
50% of all the staff and all the promoters and organizers are now car mechanics or something. They had to quit the profession to go do something else. So
Oh yeah,
it's a
totally.
huge fucking- yeah, there's a lack of just infrastructure to make it happen. So
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you got John San Diego. I got an idea. So John's here in San Diego. You guys are in Iceland. So you guys should just do shows there or in San Diego, and it'll be like our exclusive. Like, just go see Ophidian all
Yeah.
the time. And be
Yeah,
like,
that'd be
the only
awesome.
place you come to see, or you guys go play LA. Keep it like Cali.
the thing is, like, I remember when we released the Beneath EP back in 2009, and it was like way faster than anything we had done before or anyone else had done before, and I felt so fucking nervous before the first show because now we had to prove we could do it. And I'm starting to feel the same way with Ophidian, because if we would have just released the album in 2019 and immediately started to play live, it would have been no problem. But now, like, the hype has been building for so, like, it's it builds every week, every month, and you're just like, fuck, man. And we're not rehearsing every week either. We're just like using the void of, to focus on other projects. Like, I'm literally building a house
Yeah.
for myself and shit. So I'm just thinking like, oh fuck, every week that goes by where we're not rehearsing and for a live show, like, it's gonna be so
But
much
if
more
you had
stuff.
something planned, you would be rehearsing, and then you just get back to where you needed to be.
Totally.
We've
Yeah,
been saying
it
this many a
would.
times, Casey and I, back and forth. Necessity is the mother of invention.
Yeah.
You need the show in order to get in there and sit down on the kit, dude, and fucking
Mhm.
make sure that you could do the show. I love this whole thing, and I wish I could stay for the whole thing. I gotta
Here it
get out
comes.
of here though.
Here it
But I
comes.
want to end it on Troy's comment that he left, which is
right from
one of the
Seven
things that lets the next generation push the limits of the previous one is the fact that they don't know they can't do it. And so, in effect, it makes it possible to do it. I love that, dude.
Yeah.
Good call, Troy. What up?
Boom.
Well, we don't have the professor today, but we have Troy. So it's
Yeah,
close
dude.
enough.
We have the philosopher.
We have the philosopher. Thank you.
No, that was
I love
perfect,
that.
dude. I
Yeah, I mean-
love that statement. That totally makes sense, dude. And that's why we get an Ophidian eye. And what is the next Ophidian eye? It's coming soon.
It's totally true. And even especially early, maybe 20 years ago, they were still making extremely sick albums, and they might have even be like heavily edited in the studio, but you wouldn't even know that. So you just think, oh, this is possible. So you're gonna try for it, even if it wasn't.
Yep.
I remember like one of the Morbid Angels albums, they totally doctored one of the bass drum tracks to do like extremely fast.
Opening the Gates, that song.
Yeah, that one. And at that time it's inhuman. But today, like probably 100 people can do it.
It
Because
like
they all
push
push
people.
that, yeah, definitely, man.
All right, dudes. Well, you guys carry on as far as you want. I love that I was a part of this, and
Hell yeah,
rock
Anthony.
on for the
Yeah,
rest of
me
you guys
too.
Sunday, dude.
Isn't it just a great time for all of us to call it a show? Because I also think we can oversaturate everyone with like just. I think it's we went through it all pretty.
Yeah,
And everyone
either way,
goes
dude.
to it now.
I mean, we wrap it now. That's fine. That's all good. If you guys want to keep going, that's good too.
I think it's a good time because it gives us a reason to come back maybe later.
Yeah,
to
dude.
talk.
I'd love
shit,
that.
yeah.
I'd
Hell
love
yeah.
to have you guys on.
Yeah, we've already been going for almost 3 hours. So yeah, if you want to wrap it up, we can do another part. And hell yeah.
Boom. Let's do it. Well, either way, we didn't listen to it like the Spawn episode, and I want to see if we can talk to Joel Guernsey and see if we could get better audio and
Oh yeah,
do
we'll
that.
get that. We'll figure all that out.
We'll
Yeah.
figure out, dude. This is the thing. It's like I love that we're still infants in this shit, dude. We're a year and a half in, but we're still doing so many things that make us constantly have to improve the show, which is totally why we do this. Like we're talking about it in music form. This is podcast form. We constantly want to be better. So
If
it's
you're not
like
growing, you're dying.
exactly,
Oh,
dude.
yeah.
But dudes, this was so fun. I mean,
hell yeah.
I can't think of a better way to spend my mid Sunday for a couple hours with you guys.
Oh yeah.
Likewise,
And
guys. It's awesome.
Super
Ragnar,
awesome. Thank you.
Daniel, thank you so much for giving us your night, and John, dude, I'd love to hang out with all you guys, but John's much more of a possibility. So I'm gonna find my way down to SoCal, and I want to give him a hug.
Hell yeah,
Maybe
dude.
twiddle his beard a little bit, and then but yeah, dude. And David, dude, this was so awesome having you on, dude. This is
Oh,
the
yeah.
third
Yeah.
time you've been on the
Yeah,
show
awesome.
with us. David's
Good seeing you.
always my mad bro, and I love him to death, and I want
Cheers,
to
brother.
cheers
Yeah.
to you too, dude.
We
Casey.
toured together, man. We toured with David.
Yeah, dude. We fucking
2006,
really we grinded together, dude, in the
Special
15
bonds.
passenger van, dude. You learn
We grinded, yeah, for sure.
you really do learn who people are in a van, and if you can do it for a month, then it's a success, dude. And boom, here we are 20 years later. Well, how many years later? No, it's not been 20 years. What the fuck am I talking about, dude?
2006. So
Well, it has
Yeah.
almost been 20 years.
Jeez,
Yours-
we're almost
Yeah.
there.
we're old as
bro,
fuck,
dude.
man.
your brain just can't believe it, is what it is. You can't believe we're that old. Your brain just won't accept
Yeah,
it.
exactly, dude. But dudes,
Fucking
really,
just-
I wish we were all in person. I wish we could turn this thing off and continue the rest of the day with each other. But here we go.
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
fucking awesome. Thank you guys so much. And yeah, like I said, it's just surreal. It's fucking incredible that we get to hang out with you guys, legends in our eyes. And I just wonder, like, maybe
Totally.
somewhere, some fucking kid is listening to Synesthesia and Desolate and can't fucking, like, I wish we had a time machine to just go and see what comes next, man.
Yeah.
Definitely.
It's going somewhere.
Hey,
Yeah,
we're
thank-
still
thank you
kicking.
guys so
We're
much.
still making new shit, dude. I just
Yeah.
heard the demo. You guys got demos and shit, so I'm really excited for that.
Looking forward.
Oh man, I think we'll probably have like a listening party, dude. Let's try and do like a listening party when Ophidian puts it out, dude. Like we
Okay.
all experience it for the first time on the show together.
That'd
That
be
would be
sick.
sick.
Yeah, that'd be dope.
Like
Yeah,
a release show in Cali or something.
We'll host it, dude.
Yeah.
We'll host it for sure.
Sure.
Okay, you should.
Through your
you should
massive.
also, yeah, if you ever visit Iceland as well, we'll all take care
Yeah,
of you. You
of
have a
course.
place to stay. It's fucking just
Sweet.
don't have to worry
Yeah.
about paying hotel or anything. Just let us know and we'll. Like I said, it's just like everyone who's into this niche fucking thing is like a brother or sister. So
Totally, dude.
I might
And-
take you up on that because if you're playing in Iceland ever, I will come see you.
I know. We'll come
Oh,
out there.
fuck
We'll do
yeah,
it.
dude.
Seriously.
That's awesome.
John,
Yeah.
David, and I will come together. And we'll just do a trip.
Yep.
That would be a sick vacation,
Party
dude.
plane.
Just make a whole big thing
Are
out of
there
it.
straight flights from San Diego to? No, I'd have to go San Diego to New York or Atlanta or something. right?
JFK to
Yeah, like Seattle
Yeah.
or something like that.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well,
Stop in Denver.
that's cool.
at some point, at somewhere, we'll all meet and fucking hang out, and that'll
Oh,
be
yeah.
We're all
Hell yeah.
we're all seeing that it is possible, guys. It's
Yeah.
not
Oh, yeah,
impossible.
for sure.
It's gonna get
Yeah.
better. The pandemic's coming to an end, I think,
Fuck
and
yeah.
Fuck
they're
yeah,
gonna
yeah.
start popping off. It'll be good.
Hell
I think
yeah.
humanity, we want it to happen, dude. So it's gonna happen, dude. We're gonna make it happen. All right,
Awesome.
love you guys so much, dude. Hey, wrapping this. I'm sorry that I had to be the one to stop it, but
I think it's a great time. So just thank you guys so much.
yeah,
Fucking
you guys.
can't-
It's almost 10
yeah.
o'clock for you guys. So yeah, you guys got Monday morning coming right down the pike.
Yeah, that's just great, man. Love the podcast and just
Ragnar.
let's keep in touch.
Thanks,
Talk
buddy.
to
Very
you.
nice meeting you, bro. And
Thanks again,
Daniel and
guys.
John, love having
Awesome,
you
guys.
guys back on again,
Yep.
dude.
Absolutely.
And David,
Thanks,
love
guys.
you. Casey, love you. I love all the subscribers. I love everybody who's
yeah.
been with us this week. The chat has been going off a little bit, and thank you for everybody who's been in there. And we'll be here very, very soon again.
Indeed.
This Thursday. Boom.
Awesome.
Got some fun stuff.
Yes, yes. We
Have
gotta-
a great rest of your weekend, guys.
All
You
right.
too.
Peace,
See you later.
guys. Later.
care.
Yeah, dudes.
Sorry.